let's get busy.
There we go.
Hang on. If I gotta scratch my balls.
You didn't go ahead. No, you can scratch during. It is recording. His balls are itchy. You have itchy balls? It is. I mean,
These are half the size of my balls.
Okay, all right.
Now he's showing off.
I told you I was loud.
I'm sorry.
All right, take over. I'm done.
I get to hang out with a very cool couple for this podcast. Charlie, for the record, what do you prefer to go by?
Do you swing?
Charlie.
Charlie.
Okay.
Very cool couple. You're a sexy man.
He goes by Charlie.
yeah.
I'll be answering all of his questions.
I know. I'm sophomoric.
His PR person.
Yeah. My family calls me Chuck. I grew up as Chuck. Hated Chucky. When I got here, they started calling me Charlie, and it stuck. And I was trying to change my lifestyle anyway. Like deprogramming. So it fit, and I like it. So you can call me whatever you want.
And what's your preferred?
Bobbe.
Not Princess, Diva,
Well,
Beyonce.
For the longest
Queen.
time, I
They
was
call her
Bobbe
that. Yeah.
Queen.
I mean, you are
That's
kind
not-
of. There's a little glitter and shine going
I'm a
on
little
over there.
diva-lish, but,
I know, but
you know.
I guess that's what.
She commands respect, and that's for real. Yeah.
At what point did they? About probably late '90s, early 2000s. They start calling you Goldberg, right?
No, yeah, I don't. Right when he came out, they started calling me that. I swear to God, I get called that at least once a week.
I mean,
at least once a week.
You do kind of look like it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a little Jewish too, so
Yeah, there you go.
we got to insult everybody.
Exactly. It's equal opportunity here.
See, and see, you say exactly. That's not an insult. That's actually,
No, it's not. I mean, he is Jewish.
Yeah.
That's the Goldberg.
That's the biggest. That's the giant David Slade.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't know.
We did a podcast a few months ago with you, Charlie, Chuck, Goldberg,
Cha-cha.
Cha-Cha,
No.
Hitman,
Yeah.
Mafia
No,
guy.
no, enforcer never.
Enforcer.
Never hit me.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But what I did find is after we did our podcast, for about a week, 2 weeks, I kept looking over my shoulder just in case our podcast raised some flags up in the Chicago area.
Right.
No,
were
they worried that I got too much information?
No, I don't rat things out, and everything is out there. And like I said, when all that happened, when I left, they thought something was wrong. But push comes to shove, the police have testimony that the boss used me as a patsy. There was two people in a 20-person indictment from Frankie and Johnny's. The boss, I'm not going to say is big blank, not big dick, and me, and I was the last guy on the list, and it looked like it was me, but I told him, and there was people in our crew that it wasn't my crew anyway, but people in their crew that I told.
He was probably right the first time. It was his crew. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Actually, there's different.
Okay.
There's a lot of different sets. There are 30, 50 people. Not. Anyway, there was a time that there was a green light, but everything's straight now, and I'm okay with everybody as far as I know. And I'm happy to be away. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. And then I'll let my wife go on with her paranormal stuff and how we met. That I'm not in any way endorsing that life, and right now I'm even trying to work with a guy from Simmons College on helping gang kids. We met coincidentally. That was my goal the whole time. It's a thing that I lived through, but I don't endorse it. And I've been accepted by this church here, even though I'm still Catholic, and it's a Baptist church, and it showed me a different life. And these people are just good people. They're very open and accepting. Crescent Hill Baptist Church. They're a Baptist church that have accepted refugees, gays, a lot of different people, and they're like my family.
So more New Testament stuff.
Well, here's the thing. It's probably harder to accept a gangbanger or a criminal and a drug addict than it is gay people. Nobody likes a drug addict. Nobody, and I was a terrible drug addict, and it caused a lot of problems. But the beauty of it is I learned a lot by being here, and I'm fighting back to make things right. And Louisville's pretty crappy right now as far as the murders and the drugs.
I wanted to talk about all that stuff. It's like
it's gone downhill quick.
Yeah, it's been very crazy.
Excuse me while I take this legal drug.
Yeah, it is legal. Bobby, how are you?
Oh, I'm delightful.
Are you?
Thank you.
You're glowing.
I've been listening to him talk for the past hour before we even got here.
And out there, and what was cool is I heard you out at the bar while I'm setting up. You were talking aliens, and that's something. I want to bring that up. We're going to get into paranormal stuff, which paranormal I'm a huge fan of. A believer to a point.
Yeah,
not every
that's how I am.
Bump in the dark is something, but you know, wrapping up, going back to you. When we did part, you were very forthcoming with your past life,
right?
And that is your past. That is the past.
And I sent you
100%.
links from newspapers and stuff that verified the stuff. I don't want to send that to everybody, but I sent it to you just so people know I'm not talking shit and making this stuff up. No. I mean, it's a tragedy, but it's a true story. And now we're happy here cooking and making films.
And he's not glorifying it. That's the main thing.
I think Scarface destroyed this country.
Yeah.
You know.
For real?
And my stepfather. Never mind. Yeah, I'm gonna get a letter from the Cuban society. Everybody will be like, "Oh, yeah, you got a problem with Cubans."
But you two met. You met here when you moved here, or before you moved here?
Well, I'll let her tell the story, but it was on, unfortunately, MySpace, aging us.
No, I had my fair share of fun on MySpace as well.
Yeah, and she was a very well-known blogger. She did paranormal stuff and like
Dreams and Supernatural was my category.
Yeah, I mean there were like 5 million bloggers, and she was in the top 4 or 5.
Oh shit!
I mean, she had every chat room would have 100,000 people. Yeah, I mean a lot of people. Yeah. But I knew her.
And this was all on Facebook.
Yeah.
It was on MySpace.
On MySpace.
Oh, I mean, I meant MySpace.
Well, you know, it's easy to conflate them. But I knew I worked with a writer in Chicago that I had hired. I had a story I wanted to get out, and she helped with like the first 4 or 5 pages. She did a great job. And she was friends with Bobby, and I saw her picture, the picture she sent you. Mm-hmm. She sent you, and I thought she was pretty, and I requested her, and she didn't even answer me, and I sent another one, and I'm thinking, you know, some chicks like me, I do pretty good, And
it was his headshot. He sent me a headshot.
Yeah, I have
and there was no hi, how are
ego.
you?
Yeah.
I'd like to meet you. Blah blah blah.
I know, but
it's like here's my headshot.
Yeah. I know.
All right. So because it was just a headshot, you were not going to respond to it?
No, I sent a little letter, but she thought I was she thought I was a fake profile.
Well, I guess where I'm getting at is because you've been built this way for a while.
Yeah.
So probably
30
at that time.
Yeah, I was almost the size. Yeah.
So honestly, if he would have sent like a full body picture of this guy busting out of his
thought he was a bot.
extra small shirt.
I sent a butt shot.
He did not.
So I guess
I don't even know how
would
you
that have been
do
more?
that.
Would that have been? Would you have preferred that to see
No.
some? Okay.
No.
So there's no pleasing you.
The only thing I
religious
did
Sally.
back then was I got up in the morning, I wrote my blog, I answered a few comments, and I went away. And so when I saw his picture, I was like, oh, come on. This is not a real guy.
So this would have been
2007.
it's about 2007. Yeah.
Long time ago.
Anyway, so the story goes that several weeks later, if not a month later,
A while.
I was really not very social on MySpace. I just did my thing and I took off. But one day I remembered it was Michelle, the girl from Chicago's birthday, and I thought, well, I'm going to be really nice today, and I'm going to go and say hello and happy birthday. First thing I see is this mug on her MySpace
Commenting,
page,
yeah.
and I can see that they're having a real conversation. I'm like, what? This is a
he's
real
real.
person. So I send a note to Michelle, and I'm like, this Charlie Wagner guy, who is this? And she's like, you gotta know him, blah, 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 blah. Very spiritual, into angels, which is, angels are my thing.
Hell's Angels. All right.
Well, actually, we do know some Hell's Angels.
Yeah.
These are the real ones. And so I said, okay.
demons, yeah.
And so I was like, whoops, I might have made a mistake here. So I sent him the world's
Well,
most obnoxious.
she asked, "Is he really an actor?" And she goes,
just said
"Oh,
that.
yeah, I was on set with him, and we did a superhero movie, Brave New World. That's like a Gen Con, Comic Con. It was a big deal.
Okay.
And in the heart of downtown in Chicago, $120,000 camera, a big crew, 50
it.
people.
Yeah.
You know, it was and so Michelle was on set, and she knew. You know, she told her.
What was her role with?
She was helping me write some other stuff, so I
Okay.
invited her, and we had
Okay.
friends,
All right.
mutual friends. You know.
Anyway, so
yeah.
I sent back the world's most sarcastic letter,
Really?
telling him that I would allow just once
Who'd have thought?
this infraction, and that I would be his friend. Possibly.
Well, what was the infraction, though? What was the
He
infraction?
sent me
Yeah.
a headshot.
Yeah.
Okay, but we just said if he would have said a body shot, you would have probably.
There's a difference between a headshot and a
bet it- I
regular
bet if-
photograph that's like, yo, here I am with my family.
I bet if John Wells would have sent her a picture.
No, John Wells is long.
John Wells,
No.
John Wells sent me a picture, and I was like, dude,
Yeah.
come on over.
Anyway, long
Swiping right.
story short, I could see this is going to go really well.
All right, guys.
We started talking on the phone and texting him for like a month, and I kept telling him, I will not meet you.
So you're here.
Yeah, I've
right?
lived
You're-
here my
I'm
whole
still in
okay.
Chicago.
Okay, and you're still okay.
With going through indictments and all this shit. You know, that's Bluegrass Run. I was technically wanted. When I first met her, I was just looking for a place to go and get away.
Did you realize at that point all of your texts and your calls were probably being screened? They
No.
saw every little detail,
Yeah.
No.
every little thing that turned you on that you told him. The feds know about it or knew about it.
Well, interesting
And they're still
story.
texting
And they're
her.
still texting.
We were texting one day. We were both driving in the car. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And we got pulled over at the exact same time.
Right.
Me in Louisville and him in Chicago. And
What?
we both had expired tags.
Yeah.
Now is that an epiphany?
I don't know.
That's a
Oh,
sign.
that was just one. There's a bunch of them.
Really? Okay.
I mean, on the one case, literally, in Goodfellas, where the helicopter's following him and he's paranoid, I literally had a court case where they showed the helicopter footage in the semi-trailer delivering drugs, and they spent $500,000. I mean, $500,000.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money.
And I was so happy to meet him.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't do
Were you?
anything. I
No,
don't.
I didn't know anything about this. Nothing.
Okay. Oh,
And
that
so
part you didn't.
We
All
were
right.
texting and talking, and I said I want to wait 6 months before I meet you, and he was like, "Oh, that's funny." And he came a month later,
Yeah.
and
To Louisville.
I stayed only for like 2 or 3 days.
for a weekend
Yeah, I met the daughter, and we went to Actors Theater. She took me to.
to Dracula.
Saw Dracula.
Oh, so
I
it's
shit
in
myself.
the October time
Yeah,
frame.
yeah. And
So if you stayed 2 or 3 days, that meant you stayed 2 or 3 nights.
Yes, he did. But we're not going to tell that story.
something about an air mattress. You know how you push down on an air mattress?
All right.
Shoots people in the air.
How many times did you hit the chandelier?
This was a bad decision on my part.
or the dog or the cat?
Kevin, I love you, man.
The dog or the cat? that
You
was
really know how
never-
to dog. You really know how to dog. A patron. I'm glad he's not after me. This roast is going to go so well for Antonio.
You got to make. Gee, I'll try to come if you can. But
Yeah.
Hey, let's-
I'll
we're
write some
stealing your
jokes.
thought, yeah.
I'm Cuban. I got some Latin jokes for him. I'll help
you know,
you out.
I am entertaining the thought, and I'll say it here, of a select few people who are not on the dais or not roasters who are in the crowd. Yeah, give me your best Antonio line.
Right.
So we'll talk with her. But
Or you could do a little video. I couldn't make it today, but I'm here in Peru.
something, yeah, that's what I do too.
I'll wear a bola. You know, I'll give all the racist, terrible things anyone could do somebody, and he'll be like, "You, I'm gonna get you." But anyway, all right. So yeah, I mean, it was.
Spend a weekend with her.
Yeah.
Get to know the family
Yeah.
right away.
No,
Well, no.
Oh, no.
The
You said
family.
the well, you said
the
daughter.
family.
My daughter.
I met her,
Oh, wow,
her daughter.
okay.
and
That's
I
family.
actually wasn't it the first night we went by the house and your dad came out, but
It was this is a really long story, but I didn't really want to introduce him to the whole family.
yeah,
Well, it's the first time.
Hello, I met him on MySpace.
Yeah.
Come on.
it was just a visit.
and
I know.
I'm a
You know,
single mom.
that is back then. That is the equivalent
Yeah,
of
yeah.
swiping right now on a
I am a
dating app.
single mother, and my daughter lives with me. And so
Yeah.
the day that you drove in, my daughter was actually over at my parents' house.
Right.
You remember? And so I called instead of going in. We pulled in the driveway, and I was like,
Trying to hide me.
Casey, could you just come outside, please? And she's like, Mom, Bobby won't come in. My mother's not coming. Blah blah blah. This
Yeah.
is my sister. So my
She-
father comes out to the car.
Had to
And
smell me.
He is sitting there, and I did not know what to say of
Yeah.
this person sitting next to me who I had just met from Chicago. And my dad's like, "Well, who's your friend?" And I'm like, "He's just a friend. We gotta go. We gotta go." And
I spoke in Spanish, and he freaked out.
he did not. Anyway,
Dad, I just hired a bodyguard.
so he met my daughter, and they hit it off
Yeah.
pretty well, but
Yeah, we
not
did.
the rest of the family at first.
But all right, so all this stuff is going well. The leading into the paranormal stuff, I knew nothing other than that she does spiritual readings. I didn't really look into it. I didn't know it was paranormal. I thought she was pretty. I wasn't like, oh, let me talk to you. You know, it was more just chasing
Your
her.
hormones. Were not interested
I
in
was.
the paranormal.
I wasn't paying attention,
Yeah.
and so you tell the story about, or do you want me to tell it? Right, it's like a month later, and now I'm visiting for longer and going back less. And
So a month later, you stay the weekend.
Yeah.
Things go well. I'm
yeah,
assuming.
and now I'm staying like 5-6 days, you know, whatever, and then go back for 5-6 days. You know, and I was still ace then. I was still,
Oh, God,
you know,
was he ever.
a drug addict and an alcoholic and a gang
and you were
member
totally aware of this at this time.
a little
No.
bit, a little bit.
No.
No, she didn't know much.
Good Lord, I did not know.
Yeah,
No.
but so I'm
But
on.
let me speak on that
Yeah.
because he was everything that I had ever dreamt of in my life, and I actually kept a journal when I was
Yeah.
13 years
Really?
old. Wrote
How
down-
so, though? How was he everything?
Dangerous,
I wish I had
tall,
brought that thing.
blonde,
I wrote this huge
Green
long
eyes.
thing.
verbatim. She literally wrote it. And this is another thing that freaked me out. She had a book that was like this thick, and then in the middle talks about this guy could go to prison, but he's kind-hearted, and he wants to get away from the lifestyle. I mean, it was literally prophetic. And then there
This
was,
is what you had documented.
I know.
Yeah, when she
I'm
was like
sorry.
14 years old, and then there was this much pages. It was her
You know, I
journal.
wanted a rugged, tough guy that
You
could
already
kill-
had the
could
bio,
kill
his
anyone.
bio,
Exactly.
Yeah.
without you knowing
But only
that she
had
had
eyes
your bio.
Thank
for
God
me.
she didn't tell me right away. I'd have ran.
And he
I'd have
walked in the
ran.
door, and there were other things too.
Yeah.
If you recall, if you notice, we both have lines across our
I
noses.
see that from
Well, I don't know what his is from. Mine is from
Punching.
when I was younger and
the beer
bad,
bottle,
bad
right?
skin. But the point
Not
of
a
the
big
matter
fist,
was
but yeah.
the whole way that we met was really freaky. My
Yeah.
grandfather, Rogers,
Oh,
died on September the 9th, 1987. And he was like my most favorite relative, and we were just
Her
like this.
nickname to him was Charlie. Out of the blue. I, it's my name.
Hey, everybody!
Right, the
I
punchline.
tell a better story.
Just tell me when.
No,
I'll mute his mic.
Anyway, for my entire life, my granddad Rogers, his name is Ray, for unknown reasons called me Charlie.
Right.
From the time I was born until the day he died,
Right.
it was always Charlie. And he would say it in a funny way, Charlie,
Charlie,
what's up,
Charlie."
Charlie, how you doing? Nobody ever
Almost in a
asked
gangster
him.
kind of way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
This
when
is
I
he
thought
really
you
died,
were going to talk
weird.
about the money. He would always leave her money.
really
when,
gets
when
weird.
he died, every year on the anniversary of
Right.
his death, I received some form of a surprise. And I was a single mom back then, and I didn't have tons of money. So usually it was some form of found money. Like I'd receive a check from out of the clear blue sky for $900 for an insurance refund that I didn't even know was due. I would find like a
Well,
$100
money in
bill
your
somewhere.
pocket.
You received this on his
The date of
his-
the anniversary of his death.
Right.
But it
Every
wasn't from
year.
him.
Right.
No,
Not
but I
for
knew
s-
it was from him. It was a sign.
Well, it wasn't like he
Oh, no.
deliberately.
No.
Right.
So somehow.
But in
Psychically,
life,
yeah.
In
I'm
life.
9'9".
In life, wait a minute. in life, that's what he would do. He
Yeah.
was constantly funding. He bought me a car. He sent me to New York if I wanted to go somewhere or whatnot.
Is your grandfather now?
This is my granddad.
So clearly,
he's passed.
He was, yeah. But you were one of his or his favorite.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite. He was
Yeah.
my favorite. We
Yeah.
were just like this. So anyway, we got the chale thing going on. Okay. So fast forward to the year that this fellow here sends me the friends request. Okay.
So wait, your grandfather has passed
He passed in
before.
87.
Yeah, okay, 87.
In
all right.
2007,
Gotcha. So
he came
20
on the
years later.
scene, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that year I was laying in bed, and I think it was like on the 11th or the 12th, and I'm really weird, and you'll find that out. I'm laying in bed, and I'm like talking to my grand, and I go, I didn't get anything this year. What the hell? Where's my present? Did you forget about me? Where, come on. There's nothing. Next morning, I get up. I had just talked to him on the phone, and I'm like, holy crap, wait a minute. I go
You
back.
started connecting the dots here.
The day that he sent me the friends request was September the 9th.
Yeah. Boy, he's bad, Grandpa. Boy, that's a.
So anyway, we talked, and when we first met, we talked on the phone the entire drive.
Yeah.
And when he pulled into the driveway, we didn't do Snapchat or
Yeah, they didn't have
what's that thing called, Skype. We didn't do Skype or anything. So I had seen his picture.
Mm-hmm.
He had seen mine, but we never
More
really.
at this point, more than a headshot.
Yeah, I mean, we she
He was
went
a
through my
fireman back
page.
then.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're on the phone, and he doesn't want to get out of the car when he finally gets to the driveway, and
And I'm
I don't want
talking
to
to her.
answer the door because by this time,
It's too much built up, and it's like I open the door and I hate you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, chemistry. The chemistry could be off.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to find. It might be.
But you all, I think with the right way to me to introduce yourself to to a relationship with someone is from the inside out.
Right.
And that's what we did.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
And that's what you did.
But we were still. I was worried,
We were
and
scared to death.
I'm way superficial about stuff, and she wasn't, and I was just like, I drove all this way, and I'm going to turn around and leave, and
So
and
that very
Yes.
tiny tank top that you wore.
Let's
No,
just call it what it was. It was a wife beater.
Yeah.
was all
Did I
wife
really wear that the first time?
Was it?
Oh, cheeseola,
See,
man,
I got
that's so.
you. See, you were so
Yeah,
predictable.
yeah.
He wore the,
yeah.
He wore the
I was.
wife beater
Yeah.
and the horrible Latin King
Yeah.
mustard
Yeah.
yellow sweatpants.
Yeah, and my hat busted to the left.
And he had on
what a
those
comedy!
shoes,
What
the
a
white
comedy!
shoes with the blue stripes on them.
yeah.
So anyway, he's standing outside the door. This is for all you women, and I'm inside the door, and we're on the phone, and here he's going, open the door, and I'm like, I don't want to open the door. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. So finally, it was like literally,
Yeah, I said,
okay,
I'm leaving.
on three. 1, 2, 3, and we open the door. My last prayer, ladies, was please, dear God, let him like me.
Yeah, and it was I did the. It was very romantic, and it was love at first sight, and it played out really well. But my intentions going down there was in about Bluegrass Run is the guy's got indictments based on truth.
Yes, that is true.
He's looking for a patsy to come and lay low in Kentucky. So I mean, it wasn't exactly true, but I was looking to
His
get out of
intentions
Chicago.
were not honorable.
Right? I mean, it wasn't. I was looking to meet somebody. I just didn't have any plans on staying.
What's the word? You were on the lamb.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
She was the lamb.
Why? I didn't know it. I did not know it. Oh, God, here we go again.
Yeah, she was the lamb.
Bambi.
Yeah. But anyway, my intentions were good, and
is there a
it
little
happened.
truth to that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was totally. That was the
Is
total.
the law pursuing you at this
Oh,
point?
yeah.
No.
No,
Oh,
no,
back
they're
then,
not.
yes.
The
Back then.
indictments are real,
Okay.
but they hadn't put them in a court to find out whether they should or not. So they hadn't called me in, but there were a list of indictments that they were going to follow through, and they were still watching the bar, Frankie and Johnny's, and it's actually on an episode of Gangland.
Gangland.
And Operation Broken Crown. But that wasn't even the stuff that I was involved in. I was involved in other stuff. But a long story short, I knew there was trouble, and I got tipped off, and I warned my people. So I didn't, rat them out or get tipped off and not say anything. I warned them and I left, and that was that. And my intentions were to go have fun, meet somebody, fool around, and then go home. And I would have, whether I had indictments or not. I wasn't planning on being romantic with anyone. I wasn't. That wasn't my type. I was not that type. Gotcha. I've been divorced already, and I was just looking to have friends. But I'll tell part of the story, and you tell the rest. But the big thing about the paranormal is, so I'm there for like a month, a little longer, whatever, and we're starting to live together. We're definitely in love, but we're not exactly saying it yet, and we're there. She comes out of the bathroom, she's brushing her teeth, and she says, "He's telling me to say flick, flick, and then she goes back in the bathroom brushing her teeth. And I go, "Who's telling you to say flick?" And she goes from the bathroom, "Your father." And my blood started to boil. I was like, this gypsy ass bitch is trying to take me for my money. And she's working with the feds, and all this. My mind's going 240, and I go, "Honey, if you want me to stay around, don't ever say crap like that again. My dad is dead. You don't know my dad. This is bull."
But you didn't know of her that paranormal side.
No.
So you really thought that she got tipped or somebody giving her information.
Right. My natural reaction was this: she's a gypsy, or she's on the internet, or the feds tipped her off, and now I got to blow this whole thing up, and I'm mad. And she comes back out, and she goes, "All right, but he's telling me flick, think about it, flick," and I was like.
You're shaking your head no.
Well, she has her version too. Okay. But
right, we'll
literally that morning,
it ends up
we were talking about forming a production company because we both write and we like film. And she had her blog stuff was Trinity Angels. So we had said, let's go get a business thing that says Trinity Angels Production. Right now we have Trinity Angels Catering too. So everything was Trinity Angels. And then I thought about it, the production company. My dad was a cop, and he did murder scene photography. He did weddings, but he had formed a company called Flick Photo that did training videos and all sorts of documentary stuff. And he had a Jewish partner that ended up committing suicide, and it fell through. But his company was called Flick Photo, and flick is not a word, like you flick a cigarette. It's not like
it's
not you'd pick that out of the cloud.
Word,
And so it dawned on me, and then I got really afraid because I didn't even think the feds could know about that. And I got really afraid, and I started to realize that she really can do this. And then I was like, "Listen, I'm sorry I yelled at you. I got what you're saying. Don't ever tell me any of this stuff ever again. I don't want to know about it. It'll ruin the relationship." It scared the shit out of me because there wasn't anything I could grab or take or control, and it just freaked me out. And I said, "Give me time to process this, and we'll revisit it when we're closer."
Okay, do you want to hear the real version?
Listen, the real truth, according to.
I don't even.
Yes,
know.
honey, please tell me.
I'm not sure that you even remember this, but
You're probably right.
the real thing that happened, I was brushing my teeth, and we had just had a discussion about the fact that in the gangs, everybody has a nickname.
Oh yeah.
And there was one person in particular that he told me about. I'm not gonna bring it up, but
don't make me cry on camera.
I was brushing my teeth, and over my left shoulder, I kept hearing what I thought was flip.
Yeah.
Flip, not flick.
Buck Wild.
And I thought, this is who this kid is, because I could see a jersey and the whole 9 yards in my mind's eye. And I'm like, this must be this dude, because we just had this talk. And then I kept thinking, it's not exactly flip. And so when I went out there, I said flip, and then I switched it to flick.
Yeah.
And that's when it made sense for him. And then we did have the discussion about Buck Wild. But then what happened was, I thought we were getting all comfy, cozy, and I was revealing who I was to him.
Yeah.
And so that is when I pulled out the diary and said, "Can I share this?"
And that kind of helped me along. But so this kid was really important to me, and he was like 14 and got shot. And like the week before, we were at a funeral of his brother, and he's like, "Ace, you got to help me. You got to help me. And I know you can get me a job." And I used to give all the gang kids work for me. I mean, not drugs, just put a ladder up, come with $10 an hour, blah blah blah. They actually got shot in my van, crashed it into a light pole, and I had to pay $4,000 for a light pole. And they'd run around delivering their drugs in my vans, and it pissed me off. But anyway, don't hire your family and friends. But I love this kid, and I wanted to help him. But at that funeral, it's loaded with cops. It's loaded with the senior gang members. It's loaded with the local chapter, and it's loaded. And he's running up to me, asking me, and I'm just like, I kept brushing him off, like, just don't talk to me.
Sorry. Anyway, it's hard, and this is a good illustration of how sucky gangs are and how it's just god awful. But what I was gonna say,
Well, all I had to do was, give
what
him a
I was
shot.
going to say, which brings it back to where Charlie was at that time, he was still ace. And so he heard all this stuff one day, and I think we even did the I love you things that evening.
Oh no, it was.
But then the next night,
you said I something.
I wow you.
I wow you. She said I wow you as a like a joke or something like that, and I said I love you too, and then I went.
So you wound up saying it first.
Yes, he did.
Yes, I got played. I got
You
wowed.
got-
I got
yeah.
I
You
got
got
pawned
wowed.
into it, and then she looked. I love you too, and I was just like, oh no, 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 no. I can't believe I just said that shit.
That's cute.
Yeah, it is cute, but
It
it
is.
was evil.
It was either
It was
the next day
evil.
or 2 days later when he had time to process all this stuff. Then you picked a giant fight with me.
Oh yeah, and I went back home and
I
got
went
high
to
as hell.
work. I went to work.
What was the
and
fight about?
When I came up, just
Me not having
nonsensical.
cocaine.
No, it wasn't. I didn't know there was drugs.
that's what I.
involved
Yeah,
at all.
So at this point,
no, I was depressed, and I went back to Chicago
He
and
was
got
ace
high.
still.
Yeah.
And he was.
he was
itching-
ace to you, or but no? In
No, I
real
mean,
life.
Well, in
yeah,
real life, that's
you
who he
can't
was.
shake
But I'm-
that.
all right.
But not to me.
But
Yeah.
what was he to you though? Did
Charlie.
you?
me, it was
Just-
Charlie.
so you
had
didn't know-
the
you-
nose.
yeah.
and
No, I
my
thought I
granddad.
was like a player. You know what I mean? And,
No,
running
but
around
that
and-
side
yeah.
of Charlie,
Oh,
you still didn't know.
No,
I did kind of know a
Yeah.
little bit, but I thought that was like
I was being more
long
romantic.
ago.
You know what I mean?
I thought it was all
but it was
over.
schmoozy.
But
gotcha.
he
You know.
was addicted to pain pills back then,
Oh,
and
and
he
coke
had
and everything,
stayed
yeah.
long enough. And the next day, I
Withdrawals?
went to work, and when I came home, everything was gone.
Yeah.
And
What do you mean,
I
everything?
mean,
All my
his
stuff.
clothes, all
Yeah,
his
yeah,
things.
yeah.
His car was gone. There was
Okay.
no note. There was
Yeah.
nothing. He was just gone.
Nice guy.
And he did that several times. Why I stayed with him, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Well, in my defense, so the whole thing, she played the game in the beginning when you run, they chase, and I chased her. Now it was my turn, and people do stuff.
But did you do that?
No, I was mad, and I
Okay.
wanted drugs. I was an addict,
okay.
and I was caught up with the kid and my dad and all this stuff going on, and it got to be too much, and I ran like I used to, and you sometimes I would sabotage a good thing before it fell apart because I made it fall apart. So I was, and I hate to say it, you've had my friends on here this show that that continue to do this stuff. It's this cycle of addiction. That maybe not so much as the
not chemical addiction.
well, no, that too. But I mean, just everything, and relationships, and not so much the gang stuff. But it's just like when you're dating and you're at a certain age, it's just like you don't want to do anything. And I just wanted to go. I didn't want to be a part of this. I didn't want to be.
It's scary.
I didn't want to
He was
submit.
scared.
Yeah, I was scared. Yeah, all this tough guy shit, and I was afraid of a little angel lady.
But he had PTSD in the
Oh,
worst
yeah, I still do,
possible
yeah.
way. And I can remember.
But what from what though?
The gang stuff,
Gang.
every
Gotcha.
fire department,
Gotcha.
gangs,
Gotcha.
everything,
All right, gotcha.
everything.
one day,
My brother.
One day, I don't know if you remember this or not, but he had been gone, and we were starting to talk again, and I was on the highway driving downtown, and we were chit-chatting about something, and I started giggling.
Oh
Because
yeah.
that's what I do. I giggle, people.
We just watched this on Dr. Phil or something.
I was just giggling for no apparent reason, and it triggered him.
Yeah.
And he
I thought there was
cussed
some
me-
guy there or something. I mean, guys are nuts, and I was nuts. I was. It was all the drugs.
And this
I was
is
like,
still about
what the fuck-
2007.
what the- Yeah.
That time frame.
I was like, what the fuck are you laughing about? You
Probably
think I'm funny?
2008,
Funny
yeah.
how? All that. And I just, again, something happens, you look for the easiest excuse to go get high.
Right.
And it's a combination of PTSD and wanting to get high and all these triggers. And it's a tricky business to get out of this. I'm surprised that I still drink, but when I was a fireman, I drank beer, so that didn't trigger drugs. when I drink alcohol, it triggers drugs. And when I met her, I never really drank wine, and since I've been here, I drink wine. That's all I drink.
Yeah.
I don't drink alcohol that much. I told the bartender I spent 2 days in Mexico. I drank a bunch of tequila and fought a bunch of cops naked in Cancun. Well, almost naked. I had my underwear on.
Is there video of that?
But they put me in a cage.
When was this?
Yeah, I was in a concentration
Way
camp.
before me.
I was gonna say
I was in a
not
concentration camp in another country. Yeah. No, and they took my clothes and they hosed me down for 2 days. The first day mostly with cold water, and then after a while, they went to my hotel and got my stuff, took me to the airport, and said, "Don't ever come back."
Where is this at? Cancun?
In Cancun, yeah. One of my friends, a massive criminal named Lonnie.
I can't believe you said his name.
Well, he's probably dead by now. I mean, yeah, whatever. And his son was a Latin king.
Lonnie, I didn't hear your name.
Yeah, his son
you
was
said
a Latin.
Bonnie.
Yeah.
Bonnie was the
No,
name.
Said Ronnie, Donnie.
This is all history. It has not, there's no indictments
Bonnie
on this.
Lass.
You guys are clearly unaware of the law.
Yeah.
But his son was a Latin king too, and whatever. We had a good history together. But this guy, I mean, at one point we were probably 5 to 10 felonies a week at a minimum. And this guy was probably over that. I mean, literally every hour. I mean, he'd be doing phone fraud. I mean, just an evil, like I would do stuff to bad people that I thought were bad and gang people. You wouldn't include civilians. This guy, everybody was open. Grandmas,
Wow.
the dog. But he had a good sense of humor, I got to say, and he was very nice to me. So I
think he's
I
the
kinda-
original mastermind of the Nigerians that call and prey upon old
Oh
people.
yeah. No, he did that.
Even though he was
he did that. He
American.
did that in the 80s, and he was he was evil. But
So let's bring it back. You're still here. Have you actually made the trip up there to spend time in his environment?
oh yeah.
So what was
Yeah.
that like?
Tell him about the funeral.
Well, the first time that I went there, it was not the funeral, was it?
No, not my mom's. I'm talking about the gangster cop
No,
gang. There was a funeral where everybody in the room was somebody, and she's like, "Those are the cops, aren't they?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Those are the older kings, aren't they? Yeah.
So I guess at this point, you know more about his life.
Oh, yeah.
I know
Yeah.
his history, but I still do not know
Everything.
that he's actively
Well, that's what I meant.
in it.
His lifestyle, because that was him.
I already knew that there was some form, and back then I didn't call it PTSD. I just
Honestly,
thought
I
he
wasn't
has triggers.
actively for years.
You were
Yeah.
going out and getting in trouble.
Yeah,
let's
but I
just
mean,
say
but
it.
that.
But that time
it's
he
like
took me.
no meetings.
It was a
and,
funeral for one of his oldest, dearest friends, and there were gangsters on this side,
Cops.
this way,
And everybody knew each other.
politicians. It was
Yeah.
the weirdest thing I
and
ever.
and you'd float through, and some guys had the ability to float through. Like some guys hated each other, but some cops could float through.
And then the after thing.
Brian Lucci.
Was at this bar.
He's the
Chicago Fire.
Chicago PD, the TV show.
Oh, really? Oh,
He's
yeah?
the producer of it. And he's a gang crime guy. My other friend Joe Sparks.
Real cop.
Joe Sparks does Gangland all the time and does. He's a good friend of mine, really good. I should have listened to him years ago. He's like, "You look stupid as a gang member." He goes, "You should be a biker. You look stupid." You should be a biker. You could still sell drugs, But anyway, Joe Sparks does gang.
So if you would have listened,
Seminars across the
you would have
country.
been on Sons of Anarchy if you would have listened.
Well,
Yep.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I wasn't really. There wasn't a lot of acting back then, but I was acting out.
Acting out.
But
Anyway, there was another time that we went to Chicago. I took my daughter and my best friend with me, and I met his mother for the first time. You would not imagine his mother was fire engine red hair. She's about
5 foot tall,
this tall, this big around, the
Yeah.
tiniest little lady.
95 pounds.
And just charming as can be. She's from Cuba. And
Demure. Yeah.
everything was fine in that visit, but we went to somebody's house, if you recall. This is one of the things where I was starting to get it, that there were certain situations
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he couldn't be
Ticks.
around, and something triggered him. And do you remember you were driving our car? And
Oh yeah. And it's no
my
story.
daughter's in a car, and
Yeah, I was triggered and.
it's in Chicago. And
All right,
he
let's go to the
turns-
paranormal stuff.
He
Stop
turns
making me
into
the bad
Ace,
guy. Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like
I was,
he's
yeah. I
driving my
was,
car,
yeah.
and he's like actively pursuing someone
Yeah.
on the highway.
Trying to run them off the
There's
road.
me,
With a
my friend from
17-year-old
Georgia,
girl in the back.
and my daughter, and I'm like, I don't want to get.
Well,
in a
when you're
fight.
used to-
I mean, anyway, let's bring it back because
In
eventually-
Chicago, gang members ram each other consistently.
Oh, God,
I used to
that's
make
awful.
bumpers for guys, big giant plate bumpers, so you could push people off, and reinforced doors. I used to, everything, anything to make money. But yeah, ramming people that's like, it's.
Anyway,
Never
long
mind.
story short, he ended up coming to Louisville to stay.
Yeah.
And once he stayed, he did get off of all that.
Yeah.
He
I
still,
got
to
off
this
all
very
the
day,
pills
though,
and-
still has some triggers.
Yeah.
He's not nearly as violent or anything.
Oh, don't
like
get me wrong. I
that.
like pain pills. I like everything, but I can't. It ruins your life. Everything, even alcohol ruins
Are
your
you
life.
still taking?
No, I don't
No.
take
You're
anything. I haven't
pill-free?
done for 10 years.
Forever.
Yeah, well, 9 years. Yeah, I do drink, and I don't think I have a problem, but I could do better.
No.
But it takes you so long to uncloud your head, and I start to realize all the stuff that I did, and you can't casually do. And I did a lot of drugs. I mean, it's not good for you. It does change your perspective on everything. It's like if someone smokes weed, you know them, and you laugh at the same things. And the guy that went through prep school and is just a total nerd and does it, he looks at everything, people would say like a square. So the problem is to be able to open your mind, but not destroy your mind. Get enough to get that feeling to know what other people feel like, but don't. You can't go all in,
Right.
Because I mean, it was meth, coke, heroin,
You-
everything,
you-
GHB.
You say you put that behind you. You left
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Chicago,
Yeah.
but here's the thing: did Chicago let you leave?
Yeah, I was.
Did their hands?
Yeah, no, the only thing was in the beginning was the green light because of the suspicion of that. But pretty much, you get a certain age, guys kind of getting out. They say kill to get in, die to get out, which is
I've heard that.
a lot of times for Latin Kings, yeah. But it isn't necessarily true. People get beat in, people get beat out, and if they did a good service and they were good people, But I mean, I was never up there. I hung around with guys all the time, so I was still there. I was still selling their dope. I was still a commodity. And
Did you have to do anything
I'm not going to like this question.
to, per se, free yourself from Chicago?
Oh yeah, but the whole
With
object.
them, you
Listen
had-
to me.
Go.
I'm going to tell you about life in general. If you're a politician, you're a cop, you're anybody that's important, anybody that wants to be successful. The key to success is to be able to out-extort your opponent, or it's a chess game. So,
To one up.
so you,
Yeah, always one
you
up.
have to, you
Yeah.
have to. So it's kill to get in. There's a reason to kill to get in. Then they have you, and they can't do anything. But then you start to collect intel. Today I still got a notice on my computer saying, "Do you want to look at that file from Kevin Hale?" I swear to God. And I thought that's weird. Remember I said I collect intel on people all the time as a regular business practice, just to know who am I going to offend? Is the guy Jewish? Is he Muslim? Is he Irish? What is this? Is he gay, straight? Is he Christian? I could insult people.
What am I?
I didn't find that much out. I mean, although I told you last time there was some special interest in you. I don't know why. But the fact of the matter is, it's good to know people and learn your intel and do stuff. But the idea is that to succeed, you out extort them, and that constantly goes on in business, in gangs. Gangs are the training ground for it. Fraternities are the training ground for it. Masonic things are the training ground for it. Corporate things are the training. Politicians, the Roman Catholic Church. I'm sure the Pope's got shit. He's got his little special file. I'm sorry, Pope, but he's got the little special file. And you had 6 young boys. All right. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. But yeah, it's all about out extorting the other guy, and it's terrible, but it's true, and it goes to a double not spy, to where some people will think you're extorting them, and they give you false data, and then they say, "Oh, I got you," and you're like, "Aha! You don't have me. I got you because you just revealed the dead guy on the train." You know, it's crazy shit. So it pays to steadily keep sources and find things out about people, and they'd rather have you gone than have you offended.
Offended.
I know I use such good words, don't I? I have good words. I'm like Trump. I have such good words. They're all good. I have the best words.
So now he's all yours. Lucky you.
And I'm still gathering data on her. That's. Why do you think she can't leave me?
So he ends up
So
coming,
serious.
coming to live in Kentucky, and so that means that he is immersed in what I do every single day.
Yeah.
Which is?
Well, I don't do it anymore.
Cooking
but-
and old people at the church that I love.
No,
And young.
Hello, this was 2007.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about now and like the Corinne kids, and I drove a school bus there.
You
I
all don't
cooked.
have kids together, right?
No.
Okay.
Go on.
What's she doing?
No, I mean, I thought you meant now. What I do, I'm pretty much. I have the poster life of, like, The Odd Couple or something. It's very.
Are you really in witness protection? Is this what this is?
No. I wouldn't be here talking. What do you think? I'm Sammy the Bull? That stupid? I want to start
You can
selling
say
ecstasy.
enough,
Yeah,
but-
I want to start selling ecstasy in Arizona. They'll never know.
I'll never know.
Yeah, big dummy.
Wick probe.
No, it never even got an offer for witness protection because I never read it on
Wasn't
anywhere.
necessary.
I had a cop tell me, "Who's the boss? Who's the boss?" I'm like, "I'm the boss. I made this shit. How are you, stupid?" And the guy's like, "You look."
Were you in a position to potentially get witness protection? Did you have enough information?
If
that
I wanted
could've-
if I wanted to rat people out, I could
Yeah.
still be in witness protection.
Okay, so-
I have so much on politicians, cops, masons, priests, everybody. You, my wife's family. No, I'm steadily. Yeah, you steadily take information, but you don't. The value of a good soldier is that you're smart enough to know things, but you don't. You never turn and run. You don't do stuff
keep
like
your
that.
friends close, keep your enemies
Yeah.
closer. Right?
Well, and listen, enemies are easier to understand.
Yeah.
And enemies, you know what they're going to do, and they have limited options. Friends and betrayal never comes from an enemy.
No.
It always comes from someone close.
Closer.
So that's the heartache of betrayal.
There you go.
And that's why if you live a life, I'm going to tell you, gangsters are some of the most loyal people, and it sounds so weird, but that honor among thieves and stuff, I swear to God, more than politicians, more than priests. I'm sorry, Steve Renner, and Jason.
Well, that's kind of part of that brotherhood thing.
It's not even brotherhood.
Okay.
It could be, but I have that loyalty to groups that I'm not in.
Mm-hmm.
They call it groups. It's just that people get to recognize that you're the guy that doesn't violate these, that I'm trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, King Arthur had a court, and the knights at the round table, none of them guys played around. They weren't like, "Yeah, got a sword I could sell you if you want to give me some money. I got some info on the king." They don't. The high level people are always the most loyal, and people that are loyal to other people know it.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel it. The problem is you still don't want to give them information because they may not turn on you, but they have the ability to threaten you that they could turn on you. So you're never supposed to do that stuff. That's like that's like a last move, and even then, what are you going to die miserable knowing you're a rat and just it's not cool. And my life now is easy because I deal with a Chihuahua and people at a church and a bunch of foreign kids and my biggest stress is Facebook. Someone said some shit doesn't have anything to do with me, and I get mad at him. I'm going to find him. I'm going to poke his eyes out.
Do you still have information here, or maybe even hard information, that potentially is damaging to someone still? When I say damage, I'm not talking about like a misdemeanor. I'm talking about.
That's a big question.
It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no.
I would say no.
Okay.
I would say no, and here's why: because things change. It's like if I had information on a guy selling drugs, doing this, 20 years ago, he may not be doing it anymore or whatever. I don't really have. I was
going a little more serious than selling drugs.
Right, but you're almost asking me to admit on camera that here's an opportunity for the feds to come and put me on the rack and stick something in my butthole and make me talk. And so I would never say that whether I knew it or not.
So that's a no comment.
Yeah. It's whether I knew it or not. But honestly, I don't think so. I can barely remember, when you said Buckwild's name, and it's just you start to forget these things, and it's just not important anymore. Yep. I don't.
Fair enough.
My father-in-law, I knew a certain amount of things about. All these. This has been a hell of a ride. Like I said, my father-in-law was supposedly worked for the CIA, was a Cuban, a black Cuban, and his family were diplomats in Cuba. And supposedly he worked for CIA, got caught with $14 million worth of cocaine. That's how this began. That's the beginning of this story. That's crazy.
Have you been approached for any type of a book, movie?
Actually, I would like to tell you something, but Chris Saunders, who you need to have on here, he's an actor.
Oh my God, he's
Local?
so fun.
Yeah, he looks like the guy from the elf from Bad Santa. He looks like
He looks like Ludacris.
He looks like, but he looks. He's very. I don't want
a midget.
Yeah, well, I didn't say that.
He's a little person.
What kind of racist are you?
Isn't that what they're?
I don't know the vernacular. I know he's
the
black.
coolest guy on
and
the
there's a lot of
planet,
things. Yeah. Oh no, it's a good.
Ridiculous.
He looks like the guy from.
Yeah,
Elf.
and he's funny. And he always plays pimps, and he's an interesting guy, and I love him.
He is.
He's one of the guys that's always been here for me, and I'm there for him. I consider him a friend, and they won a 48-hour film festival. It's called Team Hi-Ho. Brennan Clark and Kyle, the three of them are brilliant, and. I was kidding around with him the other day. I said, well, I'm trying to pledge you guys. Do I got to shoot anybody to get in? What do I got to do? And he says, well, find a funder for our film, and maybe we'll think about it. I'm like, oh, you bitch. But yeah, he's a good friend. You should have him on here. Okay. He's an incredible actor. I love him. But my point behind this is there's someone that he knows. No, I'm not even going to say that.
I mean, far be it from from a known gang member to
listen,
that tells me to do something. I'm probably
there's an internationally known producer that looked at that story.
He is going to.
No, I didn't say anything.
You've been told more than
Listen,
once.
this has nothing to do with him. This has to do with me and that guy's relationship. He said, "I would love to go to Cuba and film. I would like to. I'm more like this story about your father-in-law." And I would like to do that. He thought the cocaine diplomat story was good. But whatever, he's a big shot and a nice guy. And I probably should stop now.
And friends. With
Yeah, no.
No one knows who we're talking about. Nobody.
We've already said too much.
Let's go talk some paranormal though.
Okay.
They're here. You're here. What is? Give me. I mean, I know. Evidently, you have some kind of a gift.
You know what, Bobby? We talked about when that gift came to you. That's a good story. When she didn't always have it, but it came to her.
Did you like hit your head or something?
No.
But it gave me chills. I thought it was cool.
He says that you're not an organized religion enthusiast, and so my disclaimer here is that.
We work at a church, and we're Catholic.
No.
So.
I grew up Catholic. In church from the time I was a baby. We didn't get any
Our families
leeway.
are very Catholic.
The only time you didn't go to church is you were puking your guts out.
Yeah.
But that being said, none of it meant anything to me until I was 25 years old. And that is because I came up, I spent about a year dealing with something that I couldn't talk about to my family, to my friends, to anybody.
And it wasn't abuse or anything.
There was something happening in my life, and I just felt that I couldn't share it with anyone. And so have you ever heard of Medjugorje, Yugoslavia? Have you ever heard of the apparitions of the
Mary
Blessed
appears
Mother?
to the peasants.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, in the early 80s, there were 6 children in Yugoslavia that had an apparition of the Blessed Mother.
The Pope still
And
has the letter.
And I heard about it and blah, 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 and it was like here, there, whatever. Just to let you know, my sister and I used to go sit in the parking lot on Sunday in church and drink beer until it was over.
All right.
So,
Yeah,
well, this means something.
Yeah.
So my mom would come out and see us, and we'd be like, "Oh, we just left," and then we go on. So that's about as much as at that point my
She wasn't a...
Catholicism was doing for me. All right, so that's for you to know.
Right. But we were still raised with that kneel, stand, pray, kneel, stand. The doctrine.
And from the time I was a little bitty kid, I had a relationship with spirituality. I just did. It was who I was. I tell the story when I was in kindergarten. My mom gave me 5 cents every single day for the milk in the cafeteria. I would give it to the poor. When she found out, she was livid. Why do you do this? I don't know. I'm just supposed to. How did I know that? I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah, she's a very giving person.
Fast forward to this dark time in my life when I needed something, but there was no one there. And it was one of these things where if I told one person, that person might tell someone else, and then my family would know, and the whole world would come crashing down. So I fell into this depression, and one of my aunts sent my mother a card. And she had been to this Medjugorje place. And in the card was a rosary, and the card simply said, and I don't care, I'm not trying to sway anybody, this is just a story of what happened to me. In the card it said, Mary wants you not to be afraid, to just pray. Pray, pray, pray. My mother did not know what was wrong with me, so she gave that to me, and she said, it was sent to me, but I want you to have it, you take it. So what meant something to me was the card. Pray, 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 don't be afraid, because I was afraid. So I took that rosary and I stuck it in a drawer because I was afraid of it. Because what was told to us was that one of the visionaries was holding that rosary, among probably hundreds of other rosaries from other people around the world, while they had the apparition of the Blessed Mother, and that the Blessed Mother herself blessed the rosary. So I put that thing in a drawer, and every single night I prayed, but every single night I was very much aware that it was there, and I was scared of it. I thought it's going to come out, and it's going to fly around the room, it's going to scare the shit out of me, so I didn't touch it. So anyway, fast forward, I started going to St. Louis Bertrand's, which the reason that's significant is they have a humongous grotto in there. And at this time, I was like, okay, Mary, it's you and me. We're just going to do this thing. And so I would go there probably every other day, walk up the aisle, take a left, go down to the grotto, and I would kneel, and I would pray, and I would not really pray, just talk to her and say, you're the only person I can tell this stuff to. What do I do? Blah, 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 blah. So this goes on for months. I start to read more and more about the Medjugorje apparitions, and one of the things that happened to the children as a sign was that they would receive the aroma of roses as a sign of her presence. I know you think I'm nuts. So just
No.
Yeah, there's paranormal stuff he believes,
my mind is open.
This is where it began for me. This is not where it ended. So, I can't tell the whole story because there's part of it, there is a book coming. It's called Silent Prayer that I'm writing, but this involves someone else
Is
in
this
my
a
life.
spoiler thing?
And I don't want to,
Yeah.
people who know me know
Okay,
the story,
fair.
but I don't want to
Put it out there.
put it out there. So let's just suffice it to say that at one point I was again in the church, and this is months and months into this, where I'd been praying. I finally got that rosary out of the drawer. I never prayed it, but I held it in my hand 24/7 because I didn't want to be afraid. Tell me if you get bored. So anyway, so this one day I'm back at church, and I'm walking up the aisle, and I stop and I realize before I turn left, I had been safely through what was happening, and the Blessed Mother, through my faith, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I didn't have anything else. I had to just be faithful.
Which
that-
is the beauty of
that
religion.
whatever this was she was seeing me through it. And I mean, I was all in. And I would ask for things. I got lonely at one point, and I felt isolated, and I needed somebody. And the very next day, my damn doorbell would ring, and it would be someone that I hadn't seen in 15 years that I used to love. Rolando Haddad. And,
Core Fitness. Another Cuban.
and I mean, things like that were just going on. So it all culminated to I'm going back to the grotto to say hello to Mary. I stop at the front of the church. I look up and I'm like, holy crap, there's Jesus. Oh my God. You know, I've been
Forget
walking,
whose house it is.
I've been walking past Jesus all these months. I never
Yeah.
stopped to go, hey, how
Catholic.
are you? Nothing. That's terrible. I'm going to hell. So I started to cry, and I knelt down and I was like, I am so sorry that I have just ignored you completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk to the
Blessed
boss.
Mother always leads you to Jesus. Okay? Always. All right? So I started talking to Jesus more than the Blessed Mother. I'm getting somewhere, I promise.
No, you're fine.
So months go. I can't tell all the details. This is hard. So there was a night. I was in my bedroom. I had a daughter at this point. She was a baby. Way before
Oh, yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah,
way
yeah.
before him.
18
And
years.
We lived. I was a single mom. We lived on the top floor of my mom and dad's house.
Beautiful.
And I was still depressed. And I was wandering around upstairs, just kind of wringing my hands. You know, you read somebody's wringing their hands and you think, nobody really does that. Well, yeah, you do. You're walking around and you're just like pacing. And I kept saying, I'm so afraid. I am just so afraid, Mary. And what I was afraid of was that my life was meaningless and that something was happening to me. And I'm lamenting this crap for like 10 minutes. Finally, I sit down on the bed and I put my head down and I'm like, I am just so afraid. And at that moment, there was a voice in my room. Not in my head, in my room. In my room. And it said, you are not afraid. Just like that. Just like somebody had been standing there watching me going, okay, when she stops whining for a minute, I'm going to say what she knows. She's not afraid. I heard it. I looked up. I'm looking around for the voice. I hear it again. You are not afraid.
Not in your head. You
No,
heard,
it
you
was
heard
a
it.
voice in the room.
Echoing, yeah, you heard it.
And I look at the doorway. But what
See, I'd
happens?
have ran out.
What happens instantly is I just get this joy. Like, oh my God, I'm not scared. This is the coolest thing ever. And I want to run downstairs and tell my mother, guess what just happened? I heard a voice. Whoa! I get all the way to the stairs and
Lock her up.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy
Bad
crap,
move, yeah.
I can't say that. My mother already thinks I'm nuts and she doesn't like me very much. And so I'm not saying a word. But I went to bed and I was so happy and so content. And from that point forward, I was praying to Mary and to Jesus, but I was hearing angels. And I started to become obsessed.
They're messengers.
Yes,
Yeah.
messengers. I started becoming rather obsessed with going to the bookstore and reading every single freaking thing I could do. Next thing you know, I start to auto-write. And you'll have to look that up because it takes a while. But I mean, I would sit and I would pray and I would talk to Jesus as if he was in front of me. And I would start to ask questions. And you write down your question and then you wait till it comes and blah, 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 blah. And my auto writing was not in my language. It was in English, but it was not in something that I ever spoke. Then I started to wake up and I could see signs in places. So
Yeah.
fast forward to 1996. This was in 1989 when it started. 96, there weren't really that many cell phones. I started a website called Trinity Angels, and we had a chat room. And what I used to do is invite best-selling authors who had written
This is
books.
through AOL.
Pretty much, yeah, it was.
Who's the one? Mary Rose Ellen Guiley.
Rosemary Ellen Guiley.
She's
who
on
is-
still on the History Channel
Who's on
on
the
all these
History
spiritual
Channel.
shows,
Oh, yeah.
like Chip Coffey.
She
She
was
knew
one of
all
my
them
people.
guys.
Chip Coffey
Yeah.
was one of my people.
Yeah. She was in there right from the
The
beginning
one
with all the
who's
big
super
shots.
duper famous, who does the angel cards. I can't think of her name right now. But anyway, all these people were my cronies. And I started
Your peers.
to teach classes on how you could listen to your intuition, how you could open yourself to help yourself out of any
She feels anybody can do this.
dark
I disagree.
place.
But
I disagree.
Yeah,
Well, I don't
yeah.
think anybody can do
Right.
that.
I can teach you.
I think it's a gift.
I think you could get better at it, but I don't think anybody.
Wait,
can
I
do
used
it.
to teach these classes. I'm getting to a point.
Go.
So finally, somebody comes to me and says, how about you have a medium come? And I'm like, well, I don't know any mediums. Well, I do, whoever this girl was. And so we set up this chat room where every Saturday night of the world, we did free mediumship readings. My role in this was not as a medium. It was just as the hostess with
Yeah.
the mostest. And so the way that it worked was we had this chat room. In the background, the mediums could all chat with one another, but whoever it was that was there for the free reading couldn't read it. So it was my job to keep the list. One night, nobody got anything for this woman that came. They couldn't, and it was all, do you have anything? No, I don't have anything. Do you have anything? Da, da, da. I am sitting at my table in my living room. I see this man plain as freaking day, just right where you are. And I can see what he's wearing. This is in my mind's eye. This is not like someone that's in front of
Like
me.
you.
But I had a perfect vision of him, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Sorry. I sent a note, and I'm like, I have something here. And they're like, just do it. See if it is. Because whoever the person was that asked for the reading did not say, this is so-and-so, just said, bring it. I'm like, okay, well, I have this man. He's like 68 years old, and he's wearing a gray suit, and he has round glasses, and it's pinstriped, and he's got tiny, tiny little tufts of gray hair. He looks really sad. He's got a briefcase, and he keeps doing this, and he's looking at me with the side eye, and I feel like he's very sad. The girl goes,
Who's the lady that does the readings on the TV show?
yeah, the medium.
That's how she describes it. They don't talk to her.
Long Island
She
medium.
sees him.
It's a long,
She
long
sees him
That's-
doing
I did
something.
that.
It means
And so
something. Yeah.
This girl, it was like, holy freaking blood. Yeah, that's him. Keep going. So I have never done this before. This is not something that I am.
I'm looking up the Long Island. But go ahead.
Yeah.
See who that is.
Even the mouth thing she does that I would do. Anyway, so it comes to pass that I finally realize this man is looking at me and he's so sad, and I know why he's sad. And he wants to tell this girl, I'm sorry. And I am like, do I say this out loud why this man is sorry? So I'm like conferring with the real mediums in the background going,
Right.
do I tell her the truth of why he's blah, 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 blah? And they're like, just say whatever it is. Well, this man had committed suicide. And so I put it out in the room, and I had more information. And I said to the girl in a private message, I'm like, if you do not want me to say this stuff out loud where people can see it, say so. And she's like, no, just go right ahead. Well, the man had embezzled from the company, and he was about to be exposed.
Right.
And so he killed himself in a moment of weakness, and he had this intense sorrow, and he was so sorry because he felt like at the time it was the only thing that he could do, but then almost instantaneously
He knew it was a bad.
he knew it was a bad decision, and he could see how it affected the rest of his family, and her in particular. That was the daughter. And darned if I wasn't right. 100%.
And then a lot of the stuff she would get from that point on were people that committed
That's all
suicide.
I ever got
Yeah,
was the suicide.
stuff.
So you were your gift or whatever your connection is with dead people.
Well, yeah, angels,
Mainly angels.
but dead people. Like she talked to my father.
Yeah.
But
People
for
that
a
are trying to guide you.
For a while after that,
I know. I look at this and I go, but
Well,
there's so many crazy
I know
things.
they're dead, but of some type of like in this case,
otherworldly
Okay.
beings.
And you mentioned, I don't know, one of you mentioned that everyone can connect, or maybe you
She
said.
said,
I did.
See, I don't think I think certain people there's a gift. You have a gift. I can't do that.
Right.
You can see things, you can hear things that I can't
Right.
see or hear.
It's like singing. Some people can sing, some people
Yeah.
can't. You can learn to sing. You can get better at singing. You still suck.
Yeah, they're not going to be good.
Yeah.
But-
Here's the thing: it all starts in the
Not
heart.
you
It starts with
personally.
intuition. Every person on the planet Earth has intuition.
Yeah.
I guarantee you've walked into a room before, nobody said
Yeah.
a word, and you're like, "Oh, someone's fighting in here. I'm
Yeah.
getting out of here."
Or your
This
wife
energy
knows
doesn't feel
something, or-
good,
Yeah.
or whatever. That's your intuition saying. So what I can do, and what I did for a long time, was teach people how to honor what's in your heart.
Right.
Even though in my
empty
real
out the
life
other
I
stuff.
didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
But you have this energy, though, that gravitates to something
Yeah.
on the other side.
Yeah.
It's like
I
people.
think it goes the other
It's-
way.
Do you
it's-
believe in people who say they're visited by aliens or they've been abducted? Do you believe
Yeah.
those people?
I believe that there's something happening.
Well, my point, that's where I'm getting at, is that I would think that I'm not disbelieving them, but if it's happening, it's because the aliens or whatever is gravitating to them too. There's that
Right,
connection.
right.
They don't
Well,
want
it's
me.
that's
I don't-
dimensional, too.
I don't see them because they don't
Right,
want me.
right.
They're not connected to me.
Well,
They're-
but that's
I
dimensional
don't
too.
see
People
aliens
don't
either.
get the whole history of church and all these things that have been going on, the pyramids and all these, even Masonic knowledge. All this stuff is telling us stuff, and it's about dimensions. And that's when we met. That was my hunger. I wanted to see this stuff. I've always looked. I liked secret society stuff. People that knew things. The knowledge, the hidden knowledge. I love that stuff. That's why I like the alien stuff. That's why I like the Masonic stuff. That's why even the Illuminati stuff.
Can I just interrupt before I forget to say this? Because
But they gravitate towards her, by the way.
really what
All
this
those.
is people do not realize that, like, organized religion, I'm sorry, I work for two
Yeah.
churches in a ministry, and they're wonderful, but the
It's made by
government,
man, yeah.
all of man-made
It's man.
societies.
It is a man-made
have,
thing.
Right.
have covered
The intentions
up,
are good.
have covered up what we innately have
Right.
and that
Sometimes.
Right,
we're
right.
born
Well,
with.
yeah.
And so you say that you can't, but I guarantee you can.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people that I've helped.
I
That
know,
Right.
but that then everyone.
you're not going to
could.
walk into Waverly Hills and go, "Oh, I see you, Mr. Ghost." That's
No.
not what
Yeah.
I mean.
But I've had an experience at Waverly
Duh.
personally.
Yeah, we did too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we went.
But
that
I
was
think,
one of our
but I
first
think
dates,
it's
too.
because it was Timmy, the little kid.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He connected to me.
Right.
I
Right.
and that's a whole different story.
Well,
but
that's
yeah.
what happens, though.
Yeah,
That is
but I don't
definitely-
think just because I think he and I had that connection, but I don't think everything out there is
Right.
connected to.
Well,
it. Yeah.
Well,
Not
each of
everything
us,
out there
each of
wants
us
to
has
see
stuff.
me
Like
either.
with her, she's a lot of light. She's really a good person. For me, the thing is, what you got to understand is people think, oh, I just got to be good, because good is good, and I only want to be good, and it's like I can only eat chicken for the rest of my life. The world, even God, even Jesus, and everything was designed with good and evil. There's a balance and a little dance, a little harmony, going back and forth, and with us.
Yin and yang.
Yeah, and with us, that's the way it plays out. Even the worst people have goodness in them, and even the best have evil.
Everyone has
So
goodness.
the idea is to
Everyone.
like ride this wave to figure out what's going on. People go, oh, you can't do that. That's evil. Well, we had to kill a bunch of Nazis. That was evil. We could have said no. We love Nazis because we love everybody.
Is it just me or are we getting
well,
off
it's a
track?
bad analogy. The Nazi,
but I know
Nazi
where you're
analogies
going.
are
I know-
never good.
I know where you're going.
But it's the idea that you got to have the common sense to be able to ride the wave of good and evil and know that when what's going on with it. Use your common sense. It's about proper portions with everything. Just enough.
Okay.
Okay, so what ended up happening was, for a time, I did the mediumships thing, and then I started to realize that the people that were coming, I had a rule: if I read for you once, you couldn't come back to me for 6 months, because what I started to understand was, I think that mediumship has its place when there needs to be closure,
Yeah.
but I don't think it has a great place for someone who's just like, I want to come every month so I can keep that connection with Joey.
Tell my fortune. I want to know my
whatever.
future.
So I finally decided this is not for me because I don't feel like I'm helping anyone. So I kind of switched over to what I hear the most is advice from angelic beings. So if I'm sitting and someone needs some help, I'm getting feedback on, okay, well, start with this. and it usually is exactly what the person's going through. And then once I'm really hooked into it, it's more like, hey, we love you. We see you're having trouble with this area of your life. And so
Humans ruin stuff.
we want you to do these things in order to bring about what you need. And oh, by the way, just in case you don't know, then I'll get some crazy thing like Aunt Louise is wearing
Right.
pinstripe suit behind you, and
Right.
she has this weird tick, and she does this. I mean, and that's how the person
Well, and
knows.
that woman that does,
And that does not come
the
to me
famous
because
woman
I'm
that does
looking for it.
the
It just-
talks to the dead is always it's always about closure. She doesn't want to talk about anything else. So I think they recognize she can hear them, and she works that out, and she consistently does the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she does it well. So they go, you make good shoes. We're going to come buy our shoes from you, and she does that. She got tired of it. A lot of people with a lot of money were consistently coming to her and going, tell me my future. Should I wear red? What should I do? What's this? And I mean, it's just like, honey, I'm not here to hold your hand and stuff. I can help you with a few things. Move on.
One of my favorites was a
Very important person
very important
that was
person
here,
in
yeah.
this city.
Yeah.
Did a novena to the Blessed Mother for 30 days. And I used to regularly help her. And she came to me and she was legitimately pissed off. I'm like, and I didn't tell her to do this novena. She's like, I did it every day for 30 days and she did not give me what I wanted. And I'm like,
And if we said that, you know who this person is.
don't even.
All right.
Don't. That's confidential. But
It's a high-ranking
stop
Masonic
it.
family,
Stop
too.
it. It's not funny.
I'm not shitting. I mean, I like high.
You're going to have
But,
to edit that out,
No,
seriously.
they don't.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah.
Masons in this town, in every town.
My son's name's Mason. Just
Yeah.
saying. But
There you go.
Yeah.
See?
Well, anyway,
So he listens to angels.
Blah-de-da-de-da. I'll tell you one last really cool story that happened with him. And when he came and he started living with me, he didn't believe at first. I know he
I'm
did
not sure. I still believe.
And
It
then
freaks me out.
He would see me before I would
I'm a
go into
skeptic.
the office and do a reading, and after I would come out.
Yeah.
And he would always say, "Oh, holy crap! It's like you're floating when you come out."
Yeah.
Because
Well, she would do the smoke incense, light candles,
Sage
prepare
and
the
all
room,
that.
and also, that people believe demons can come to you and
And they-
masquerade as angels. So
and they
she'd
do.
always
Yeah.
prepare by getting rid of them. Even in alien sightings, if you mention Jesus Christ's name, that they run. I don't know if you ever heard that. Aliens are afraid. They're interdimensional. They talk about succubus and incubus. They used to come and have sex. They thought they were aliens, but they're demons.
Well, that's
this
part
But
is
they're
Charlie's
demons.
editorial. I don't
Right.
believe what he
Right,
says.
but look at. You know who Prometheus is? Prometheus is the Greek god that
yeah.
brought fire. It was the Adam and Eve's apple tree. Knowledge. He brought knowledge. So there's always a story of a higher being, an angel, that gets cast to earth as the devil for bringing us knowledge. Now you got to look at these secret societies, and these people think that Lucifer's the king because they're using their misinformation and we're using our misinformation. But the bottom line is there's a little bit of truth in everything. And you got to look at this stuff like what's going on and always be skeptical. The Catholic Church, they had so many bad things. And I love the Catholic Church, and I think there is a place for it. There's a guy that we know in the marketing business, Pip Pullen. He talks about being an atheist, and he's a good guy.
Hi, Pippi.
Yeah, and we mess with him.
I follow him.
Yeah, and I love Pip,
Yeah.
and I love Robert Hatfield arguing with Pip even better. I live for that.
Hatfield and I, we have our moments, but I love him too.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's very conservative. Yeah, but Pip is very liberal, but Pip was he's always knocking religion. And I told him I one time I said, listen, as bad as you might think it is, it'll straighten some people out that have no filter to stop. Think about
Pip would be a good guy to have.
Well,
my God, yes.
Think about me, where I don't believe in God and I don't believe there's any law that can stop me, and I want your shit. And I've heard of, think about if a pit bull loose, doing that. That's where religion is good. And I know a lot of brothers come back and go to God. They go to
Spirituality
God
is good.
because of the stuff they did. So there's a place for that, even if it's placebo. I'm not saying it is, but there's a place for it.
Spirituality.
Pip
I
doesn't
think
want
that's
me
what
on
you're
his
talking
little
about.
ass.
Not necessarily man-made religion, but spirituality.
Or maybe he
and I'm not
does.
saying man-made religion is all bad because, like I said, I work for these churches. I see what they do.
No, and I love
see
our
the
church,
communities that they
impact,
the things that they help. It's great stuff. But now I want to tell you my great story.
Bring it.
How much time we got left, by the way?
We've got time.
Okay.
Okay, so this would be in the year 2010. And Charlie and I are living in...
Oh, is this the Indian? Oh, that's
Charlie and I are living over near Tom Sawyer.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a...
Couple of blocks away.
Westport
What would
Road
we
area.
call it?
Yeah.
We lived on Fraser Hill Road, and we had a patio home? Is that what you call
Yeah,
it?
it was
Anyway.
like a town. It's just two houses stuck
It
together.
was during
nice,
a particularly dark period in our lives. I didn't have a job. I was separated from my family. You weren't working. It was hard.
Yeah, I
And
sold a bunch of stocks, and
I didn't have.
I was not doing criminal stuff, so we cut back.
We didn't have.
I went into my
I was
booty.
not doing criminal stuff.
Yeah.
We cut back.
No,
So
we-
you were being a law-abiding citizen. Oh, darn.
Yeah. Well, it's not easy, It isn't. It's an addiction. It's like I could have that, or not.
All right. Anyway, so I am like
I guess
sick.
that does sound
I mean,
so bad.
so sick.
We were cutting back.
I didn't go to the doctor because we didn't have any money.
Right. Yeah.
And I had been sick for probably about a week, and I know it was pneumonia. When I would breathe, you could hear all this gurgling right here.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Bronchitis, yeah.
he gets up and down during the night. So it
Always.
was this one night I was so sick. He was sleeping in the living room, and I went to sleep, and I had this cool dream where at the foot of my bed there was this Native American Indian in full regalia, and I could tell that he was missing an eye. But he still had these weird feathers, and he was doing the singing with the chanting and the weird smoke and
Bells.
the this and the that. And I knew he was trying to heal me. And I mean, he was right there. This is dreaming, Bobby, okay? So I'm
Was it an
dreaming.
Indian or a witch doctor?
I don't know.
This was a
Wait,
Native
wait, wait, wait,
American.
All right.
And I felt so loved and so taken care of, and that he came to me, and I mean, I was memorizing from a wee little kid. I love Indians, love them, always did. My mom tells funny stories about me, but I have a passion for Native Americans, and so to have him, who I don't even know who he is, but I knew he was doing something. So he's laughing.
I'm just thinking of me with a little wig.
So anyway, oh my God,
Get your headdress.
We're on the best
Hey, honey,
story.
It's Wednesday.
So anyway, it was over, and he was just about to leave.
sorry.
Aren't you happy we came?
Yes. Very.
And I was like, wait a
TMI.
minute, who are you? What's your name? I want to be able to find you tomorrow. In my dream, I'm saying this. And he looks at me, and in his language, he basically says, you will never remember my name, so look up Tecumseh. Because who doesn't
That's
know
the Motors. That's an Indian name. Tecumseh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Tecumseh is.
Yeah.
So, fast forward to the next morning. We're in the living room, and I feel so much better. And I'm sitting there, and he's like, what the hell? And we're drinking coffee, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, what on earth were you watching last night? And I'm like, I wasn't watching anything. I was sick, and there was no lights on. And he's like, He said I could hear bells. And
I got up, went to the room, and there was a glow. I thought it was the TV. I heard. I shit you not, man,
Swear.
dude. It was bells
God.
and everything else, and I said, it sounded like an Indian guy dancing. And that's when she realized
what I remembered. I didn't
right,
remember.
she and then it freaked me out. But I swear to God,
So anyway, we're
I got up
So
and
you
went
thought she had the TV on or something?
I could see the doors here.
So you see
and
what appeared to be some light?
Yeah, it was a light over there, and I could hear the bells
Okay,
and
so-
stuff. And I thought, she's watching TV. Okay, she's
So
fine.
anyway, then we put two and two together, and I'm like, whoa. He told me to look up Tecumseh. So I get out the Googles.
The Google.
The Googles, and I start to Google, how do you spell Tecumseh? And I'm looking, and I'm trying to do the image search.
And this is what, 2010, you said?
This is 2000. This is before I worked for the church.
Okay.
This doesn't happen anymore.
Witch doctor.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all these pictures, and I'm like, no, that's not him, that's not him. And I'm like, wait, he said look up Tecumseh. So I look up the first article I can find on Tecumseh, and it's telling me he's a Shawnee Indian, and he's famous because he tried to unite all the Native Americans, blah, 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 blah. Down the middle of the page, darned if there wasn't a picture of that same freaking Native American. No eye.
That was his brother,
That was-
healer.
That was his younger brother, and the story.
And you can look this up. You can.
The story
Yeah. How do you make this shit
Listen,
up?
the story's funny. I could relate to it. Okay, so Tecumseh has other brothers, but in the warrior department, this guy was not
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
He poked his own eye out because he hit his own eye with his
Indian
own
fail.
arrow.
Epic Indian fail.
And this is the same guy that's trying to heal you?
He did heal her. Yeah.
So anyway,
that part.
Apparently, he's good at that.
Right.
Not,
He's a doctor, not a fighter.
that's why I don't bring her to the range.
Listen,
That's yeah.
so he can't shoot arrows properly. He cannot. He's not a good hunter.
Right.
Anything that the good old American Indian Native Americans
Yeah.
were supposed to do, he was bad at. So he fell into a depression, and he became an alcoholic. And he was basically a laughing stock. His name, and I won't pronounce it. I have always called him Tiskatawa, but it's pronounced Tesquat Tane or something. But I call him Tiskatawa. It's fine. So he falls into this deep drunken stupor for like 4 days, and everybody thinks he's dead. And so they do his funeral pile or whatever they do back then. 4 days into this, he wakes up, or 2. I could be off on
And
my
his legs
details.
on fire.
No, he wakes up.
To the smell of barbecue.
And he tells this story that he has been, he says this in Native American lingo, but he's been to God. He's been to the other side, and God shows him that there's a good side and a bad side, and that, you shouldn't drink, and you shouldn't, he becomes pious, and his name translated is prophet.
This.
No, it's prophet. And so, to me, that meant a lot.
Yeah.
Because in my life, I have felt like the underdog in my family. And here's this prophet, and he's there, and he knew it was there. And darn
That's
if I
crazy.
wasn't all the way better the next day. And the following day, I think I got a call for a job or something.
Yeah, there was a
right
lot
after
of
that.
there was a lot of paranormal stuff in that house, but that was a big one. But I was already prepped for this stuff with her. For real. I thought, yeah, okay. But I didn't even know all that backstory on that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I like the Indian shot his own eye out.
He shot his own eye out.
That's Illuminati shit. That's Illuminati.
That's what you read by Googling that whole.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look it
I
up,
didn't just go to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I went to all the different sites and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I actually researched the Shawnee
Yeah.
Indians because I wanted to know more. And I really,
That's Illuminati for real. One eye.
he did. He had one eye. He was blind in one eye.
He
You could
went
look
and
it
he
up.
said there's good and evil. I was just talking about that.
That's an interesting angle.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Well, he was wearing the
We
same
tie it all
crap.
together.
Anyway, this sort of thing happens routinely, pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, not like
Yeah.
daily, but I've kind of, because I've been working with the church, and now they probably going to fire me because they think I'm
No,
completely
they love
crazy.
this stuff too. Everybody loves this. And you know what?
Some people would consider them angels, messengers.
Yeah.
Well, that's what an angel is.
Yeah, but what is your definition or your take on what they call watchers? You familiar with?
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by watcher.
There was 200
Well, there's.
they sent down to Earth.
Yeah, I mean, they are in a
Yeah.
sense an
Angel, yeah, yeah, I mean-
but I guess in certain
I wouldn't call them.
Aliens would say that they were here to watch us.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a segue to that
yeah.
because
Well,
of
here's
the
thing,
whole
though.
alien
in,
thing.
in the angel world,
And that's the dimensional stuff. Yeah.
everybody who studies angels thinks that archangels are like some high entity that's way far away. They're actually not. And so, even though there's not that many, I would equate them as being about the same thing. As
She has pictures in her office. She paints, and they're not people, and
they're
it's
light
just-
beings.
Yeah, and
their
it's
energy.
the exact stuff that they showed on the Apollo missions and the Russians saw outside their spaceship were exactly what she painted. Exactly. I mean, it looks like wings, and it looks like kind of a leg and a head.
They look like angels.
Yeah. It's that angel. It's a light being.
I buy into
And
more
everybody,
of the,
yeah.
the alien theory.
Well, listen. No, I tell her all the time. Technically, an angel is not from here. It's extraterrestrial, meaning not from Earth.
Right.
That's all it means. It's
Right.
semantics,
Right.
and it's the question is
Religion,
this whole-
churches call them angels. I say
You
Right.
can call them butt kiss if
Well,
you
you
want
could.
to,
Yeah,
as long
yeah.
as you acknowledge them.
yeah.
And on that
That's
same
fair.
line, when you're talking about God, I will say this until
or what is God,
my
though?
dying day.
the grand
Yahweh
designer.
is God, Allah is God.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all the same
Yeah.
thing. It's just religions are a different way to get to the same.
It's a man
entity.
spin
it's
on-
a different
yeah.
practice.
This is
All
how
the-
I make soup. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But going back to that, I do believe that all these stories in every religion and every place is there was somebody up there, they broke, there was mutiny, a Satan kind of thing, and that the Watchers, and they came down to Earth, they tried to bring us knowledge. Now, the question is, were we just like a lab rat experiment and they're genetically modifying us and watching us and doing stuff? Or is
I
it
can
is it
find
gotten
that.
to the point where and was the Great Flood? The floods everywhere in every Chinese and every historical thing. They found sediment saying that there was a flood. Shellfish in the desert. There was a flood, and that it was supposed to be to kill all these people. They were giants. The Nephilim were giants. And there's all this history of finding bodies of giants, and no one has the Smithsonian's hidden everything. There's a reason these people do this stuff. There's an agenda out there. The idea of the Illuminati, you can call them whatever you like. There's people with a lot of money that have controlled things. Just like I talked with Tesla. Boy, they screwed Tesla. And they've been...
Nikola Tesla.
Yeah. And so, just to end this, and we'll do another one. So I'm here to tell you right now, within 2 years, there's going to be several things. Right away, there's going to be a lot of pedophile stuff. This is
That's
being
already
released.
happened.
Yeah, it's already happened. But
Talking about the Epstein.
yeah. The Pizzagate and all that. And it's not just, it's Republicans and Democrats. They said a third of Congress. But the bigger thing is, within 2 years, there's going to be an outright alien admission. There's going to be spaceships. There's going to be beings. They're going to show stuff. This is
That part I definitely
listen.
buy.
We
That's
did
gonna happen.
God, you all are so weird.
we did TV shows,
Well,
and
they've
she
had-
knows there's mandates, and they come down. TV shows are like 2 or 3 years ahead of what's going on. Right now, there used to be one alien show, Ancient Aliens. There's about 6 or 7 now. And they got one that they're talking about. I don't know if you've seen it, where they're showing the naval pictures of the spaceship
I've
and
seen
stuff.
those, yeah.
So the guy is, ever since he's been in the military, he's done disinformation. They've got Podesta on there, who's Pizzagate. They've got Harry Reid on there.
Reid.
They've all come out to disclose their stuff. And on the right, they got the same thing going on. That Tesla had all the blueprints from in his hotel. That was Trump's hotel. His uncle has the blueprints. So, I mean, literally, we have a left and right battle of disclosure coming out. And I love this shit.
I do, too.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so this guy worked. He quit in 2017. So that's Trump being in office.
Who's
and he's
the-
going
this guy you talking about?
This, he has a Latino last name, but it's a military guy, yeah. Lorenzo or...
Alazar or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Something.
And it's on that show that
Yeah,
they're doing credible...
It's a history.
Marine-
It's a history.
Yeah, no, it's Travel Channel, but it's...
That's right. Okay.
But it's a reveal, and all the guys on it are from the left, and there's another show, all the guys from the right.
Yeah.
they're revealing this shit because I think they have to.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten to the point where they're showing this stuff. But this has always been a disinformation thing. Even the fact about Lucifer, they say in the Bible that it make it look like he's the good guy. Katy Perry talking about, this is great, and he's really the one, and even Beyonce and Jay-Z saying stuff, and then they say they didn't say it, but there is disinformation, and I'm going to tell you right now, we know for a fact the times that we go to Hollywood and stuff, pedophilia and satanic worship are not even hidden. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, like homelessness. Well, I'm thinking they're eating the homeless people. I don't know what the hell's going on out there. There's something weird going on out there. But literally, Satanism is almost out the gate. It's almost out of the box. And then pedophilia is right behind it. Mm. And this stuff's coming. I'm telling you right now, it's coming. Guaranteed. I'd bet my life on it. More than Bitcoin.
I definitely think the whole UFO disclosure thing is going to happen very soon. There's too much evidence, and I think it all stems from.
Well, they're releasing the evidence.
Yeah, they're releasing it, and it's about the technology.
Yeah,
I think all that shit's been here, for years, or actually.
And the other thing too is we've gotten to a point where. Nuclear bombs is when this stuff started. Yeah. When they started coming down, when we blew off a few bombs, and they went, this is my garden.
Would you ever
blow up the garden.
Did you ever hear the story where the military, somebody, they had launched
they
rocket.
shut down.
Well, they launched a nuclear. They were going to explode a nuclear bomb in space.
Right.
And then
they stopped them.
The UFO supposedly hit it with 3 beams,
and they showed the footage. They showed the footage of it. This isn't disinformation. This is real stuff. They're revealing. People have a hard time grasping it because for so long they said, "Oh, if you believe that, you're crazy." They used to say that shit about dinosaurs. Dinosaurs aren't real. There are no dinosaurs. And then they find the bones and they're like, "Oh shit!" Now there's a dinosaur movie. Right. The thing is that this is coming. The question is why. Why do they want us to know? But I do know that if there is somebody that has been seeding us and helping us, and that all religion's based on it, that they don't want us blowing each other up. And that's what's going on right now. Russia, China.
The thing is, truth is, we're about as fucking divisive.
Oh, big time. We're everyone.
Yeah. Everyone. We are just right now. Social.
It's the
everywhere.
worst. It's the worst. I grew up in the 60s and the 50s where there was real racism.
It's ugly.
And right now, people talk about Nazis and the KKK. I've never met a real Nazi. I met guys that, Nazi, and I listen to punk rock. Okay, but you just bought the flag online or, whatever. Yeah. And I've never met a KKK.
Internet.
I'm not saying they're not real. I'm sure they're there. Are there 5,000 of them? But that's the issue now. Yeah. That's the issue, well, and that's on one side. There's the same shit on the other side.
I agree.
We're designed like pro wrestling. We're here to fight each other. As long as we're fighting, then things don't get figured out, and everybody's everybody's.
Do you remember the? What was it when Eisenhower left office?
Oh yeah,
his infamous.
Yeah, the hours that he was missing.
Well, no, it was not that. When he left office, he talked about how the military, the whole
industrial complex,
was they had their own agenda, and that was the people.
Well, Kennedy got started on that stuff, and they killed him, and Reagan wanted to fuck with it, and they
who killed Kennedy? Who killed him?
I don't know.
Who do you think?
There's
was it an inside job or was Lee Harvey did he act alone?
I think he was a patsy, but I believe that they made it try to look like the mob, and the mob may have been there causing things. But I do believe it's the richest people in the world that wanted him to.
Rothschilds and all that.
Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Carnegies, all of them. Yeah, they. Listen, it's unbelievable. They have hundreds of trillions of dollars. They talk about Trump has $10 billion. They talk about another guy that's got $40 billion. These are the richest people in the world. It's not even a trillion. Yeah. They have hundreds of trillions. Yeah. So they don't care about what the shows we watch. It's all programming. They don't care about anything. They don't care if we eat. And once we get to the tipping point, we're all dead. We're not gonna, Bernie Sanders. We're gonna tax them. we're not going to tax them. They're going to attack us, or I mean, it's a simple solution. It's like, I like your radio show. I want it. Give it to me.
Yeah.
You can't just take stuff. And the richest people have more access to the cool stuff. So I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm not. Listen, Trump is got his problems too. They all did. They all did good stuff. They all did bad stuff. I voted for Obama. I even voted for Bush once after 9/11. But now I find out he did it. I'm not even.
I think it was an inside job.
Oh yeah. Well, his brother had the contract for security on all 3 buildings. And how does Building 7 fall by itself like a pancake? Come on. I mean, and you could say, oh, he's crazy. He believes in aliens and conspiracy theories. Watch. You watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's all coming out. Yeah. I make up shit on a Saturday morning better than that shit. And you can ask my wife. It's not that far fetched. If I had like $500,000, I could pull off the biggest scam in history. You don't need a lot of money. These people are all just
What's your take on the this thing going on? This thing going viral about the. All these people are going to
Area 51.
Yeah.
I think,
which to me would, if it legitimately did that, and this is a government base, they're fair game to be like.
That's exactly what
Kill.
Yeah. Well,
blow them the fuck
okay,
up.
so here we got the show where all the left is doing this stuff. That might even be the right going. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and try it. I guarantee that people didn't start this movement, that somebody started this movement to screw people up. And then it's either a complete false flag or there's going to be a bunch of innocent victims or whatever. But I guarantee, you know what? Listen, society could not live. If that happened, we'd storm the White House, we'd storm Russia, we'd storm everybody. Right, yeah. And so it will never be allowed to happen.
Let's keep in mind that it's supposedly it's over 1 million people who have signed up and said they were going to do it. That's not.
I'm going there to sell like T-shirts.
There'll be people there for sure.
I'm going to make a lot of money.
And you can
count on all these people worried about aliens, but I'm getting in their checkbooks. A lot of people
will be live streaming all this stuff. What is it? September 20th, I think, is the day.
Yeah.
Oh, your birthday's 2 days.
That's the fall equinox, summer solstice. Yeah. It's like today's a full moon. Notice how we do everything.
And Mercury is in retrograde.
Yeah. Nothing creepy about that. I like talking into this thing, but it's a little weird.
Because it's big and black.
I've been to prison. No, I've been to jail. I've never been to prison. Yeah. And I was the boss in prison. So, let's not get it twisted. Did I ever tell? No, never mind.
Did I ever tell? Those are the great lines.
I was in Max. I told you this last time.
Did I ever tell you?
Yeah. I told you this last time because I was in Max, and there was a really big guy.
Yeah, you told us.
He tried creeping up my legs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Friendly guy. He laughed when the guard came and said,
"I'm so proud."
Yeah. When the guard came, I said, he must have fell on his head. I don't know what happened to him. I'm trying to help him up. The guy's like, "Why you got blood all over your hands?" I literally tried to pick him up, and the guy's looking at me like, I like you more than just sexually.
Apparently.
But it is a little true, You hit the biggest guy, but it wasn't even my choice,
Right now, Bobby, where are you spiritually? Are you still having these connections? Yeah.
I stopped reading professionally about, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
But mainly because I'm writing a lot more, and I work for a couple churches in ministry. I also write for Today's Woman magazine.
Yeah.
And,
This last one, she had like 5 articles in it.
As far as hearing, seeing, feeling, all of that, still there.
Yeah.
Still there. And if it's something that I see for someone and I can help them, then I'm definitely going to say it. I don't care what people think about me. Everyone who works with me knows that. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't. So yeah.
No, we're just happy we're just putting along, and it's good. And we do have plans to write more. And she's talked about getting back into it, but it's she would come out of the room after she did something like that, but then there's like these great depressions before and after. it's almost like a
sucks
drug.
all your energy.
Yeah, it is really.
That was
yeah.
kind of my name.
Yeah, these people will not only the people, but just the whole process is very trying.
What's
and when
your
she
rec-
wasn't
what's your
working, it was
recoup time
easy.
when you do. How long would it take you?
24 hours.
What is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I'm a slug and I can't move.
Has there ever been a time where you ran into something that was just evil, demonic,
Yes,
or
yes,
something?
Yeah. Many times. And
That's why she prays always before, and that's a legitimate thing. I've heard this about the alien stuff too, that there's a higher power, and there's rules to this game.
Yeah.
Did you know? And this is from these alien shows that.
I was going to tell a story.
Okay, real quick. That even the guy that wrote Star Trek, was in a collective, and they would. H.G. Wells wrote all these books. All these guys wrote books, and they talked about the space fleet, the Star Fleet, Star Command, where there's interplanetary rules and all this shit. That came from, they're saying, from based on truth stuff, that there really is that you can't go to a planet and do stuff. You can't come in and interfere with things that are developing, that there's rules, and all these people have rules. I've even heard, and this is cool, that they put some sort of shield around the Earth. Right now, they're combating the evil that's there,
I've heard
and
that
aliens
story.
can't leave.
I've heard
and
that
so now
story.
this is why all the pedophile stuff. They're like cleaning house. So anyway, go on with your story. Your angelic story. It's so good.
Once upon a time,
In a land
I
very
was
far
in
from.
my room, and it was when AOL was brand new, and it was dark. And my baby was asleep in her crib. And I came across, and this is not a lie, came across this weird place where it was an automated tarot card reading thing.
Oh, you told me this.
Now, I always have just felt that tarot cards in the hands of someone who knows a lot and treats them sacredly, it's okay.
legit?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
okay. But for me, personally, taboo. I don't want anything to do with
Same
it.
with Ouija boards. She thinks that
It
shit.
was the middle of the night, and the lights were out. And I was like, oh, all you have to do is hit the button. And I was so curious about it. So I hit the button. And these 3 cards go ching, ching, ching. As soon as they weren't even turned over, here's the room door. Everything got ice cold. Ice cold. And I mean, I had never experienced
How
that
cold?
before. Ice cold. Ooh. Anyway, you would think that I wouldn't have turned the cards over. You know, I don't even remember what they were.
Right.
But I remember this was something there, and it was ice freaking cold, and I was scared to death.
Yeah.
But I hit the button anyway because I was so curious.
Yeah.
Hit the button. Boom, boom, boom.
Chicks with apples. Go ahead.
All
take
of a
bite.
sudden, at my neck, I can feel. I swear to God.
Growling?
Swear to
Growling,
God. It was like
That was me.
no, it was
No,
way
I know,
before
yeah.
him. Way before
Yeah.
him. To the point where I was literally paralyzed. I could not move. I was so scared. And your brain just goes, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And so I started chanting in the name of Jesus Christ, get out of my room, blah, blah, blah. Finally, it goes away. But what happened was, I believe that I opened some kind of doorway that
Portal or
night.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I used to wear, I still wear, this was Charlie's mother's medal. It's the Blessed Mother, patron saint of Cuba. But back then I wore a miraculous medal that was blessed by every priest that could get to bless it. And I had worn it since I was 17 years old. I started at nighttime, laying in bed, and this is happening. And it's pulling. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
To the point where it's choking?
It's not choking me, but I could
But you could feel it.
I could feel it.
Okay.
Getting pulled.
Yeah.
So for a couple of weeks, I would wake up in the morning, the chain would be there, metal would not be. And then it's like, where the hell is it? Can't find it anywhere. At one point, I was like, okay, this is just something weird. I found it like under the sheets one time, but it still had the ring on it. And the chain was still around my neck. So how did that happen?
Yeah.
Another time I was gone for several weeks and I just decided, whatever, I don't want to play with it. Took my bedroom apart, not because I was looking for it, but because I was redecorating my bedroom. I used to have a bed that sat on a rug. All 4 posts were on this rug, and then underneath was a carpet. Move the bed, move the rug, there's the metal.
Oh, wow.
A month later, Kentucky Kingdom, my daughter was there. I think she was like 7 years old. I had a boyfriend at the time. We were walking along, no big deal. Again, I felt this little weird tug. I itched my neck, didn't think about it. Walking. All of a sudden, there's a man behind me. Ma'am. Comes running up. This flew off your neck, and it was the metal, but not the chain. How does that happen?
That's creepy.
So guess what I did? I went to
Welded
see
it.
a priest. I went to see Father Ron Knott, who at the time was the pastor of the cathedral downtown. And I respected him because he wrote a column every week in the newspaper. And I thought, I've got to go see this man. I'm nuts.
What's his name?
Father Ron Knott. I think he is, he's retired now or whatever. But he saw me, and I went in and I told him my entire long, drawn-out, poor man had to listen to hours of me saying, well, the Blessed Mother did this, and da-da-da, and then one night I pressed the button, and this, and the blah, 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 and this is how I get my messages. And do you know what he said? He said, do you want to hear my stories? And he essentially validated me, and he's like, this does happen, and you do have to protect yourself. And he said, I probably wouldn't have parishioners if they knew the way that I get my information. And he essentially told me, and I say this to everyone, you believe in a higher power, I don't care what you call it.
Right.
Do your thing. And it's not your job or his
Do
job or
you,
anybody else's job to say whether or not it's the right way. Because if it makes you feel a deeper connection, then just go with it. And for God's sakes, don't get tarot card readings on AOL in the middle of the
He's
night.
going to do it anyway. So how do you feel about exorcisms? Do you believe people get demonically possessed?
I think it's.
I
think the same thing is that she can connect with something.
Right.
Like evil can connect with the person.
Oh,
as
absolutely,
well.
yeah.
And and infiltrate,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call
Right.
it. But yeah,
I've heard things that demons even feed on, like our anxieties
Oh,
and fears.
absolutely.
So like
Absolutely.
drugs, when a guy's all methed out, everything, they're like loving it.
You're open.
And all,
Absolutely
yeah, and
open
it's
for
all these things that are happening are building, and it's like a fever pitch. And that, like we said, they're not letting people out. This is a violation of some sort of higher standard, and they're coming down to kick ass. Now, you can call it the Bible, it's Christ returning, or you can, but I believe, listen, I argued with Pip the one time about there's no God, and I saw this thing. A guy has a book. He says, do you believe in God? And he's like, nah, not really. Is there a higher power? Nah. Everything, we're pretty much just here, and we live and die. And the guy goes, okay, so this is a book about flowers. And I turned the page, and there's that flower and a price, and the next one. Do you believe somebody designed this book? And the guy's like, yeah, and you had to take it to a printer, and you thought about it, and you put it together, and you take it, and you sales, and you got to buy boxes of them, and then you distribute them. So there's a lot of thought to this. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, but that flower that has an ancient design that's in everything, repeated over and over again, that wasn't designed. That just happened. Your DNA, same stuff. All that just happened, primordial soup.
Yeah,
and it's like there's a grand designer.
Yeah.
And we're just not smart. We're ants.
And it could be God.
Well, that's a human name for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, when it comes to, I can buy into a God or a higher power.
Higher power, yeah.
But the notion that that this same God is a loving God and and is almighty. Yeah, I don't. That.
Well,
Why
but
do you get that? Why do you think that?
Because there's too much bad that happens.
all right,
and then
but
if you play the free will,
That's what I was going to say.
all right. But if you play the free will, then here's the thing. All right, fine. If he gives us free will, then people cannot ever say the words God is good.
All right,
because
so-
if he's good, there was nothing good about
Yeah,
it.
but
He's
you're
giving you free will.
you're
But if-
limited with an earthly experience. So this example, you're thinking, oh my God, I got my hand cut off, or I didn't get this, and all this tragedy, and I was in pain. But that's one dimension in a million dimensions, and it's like the comparison is you're a child and you didn't get your sugar cereal, and you're throwing a fit about the sugar cereal, and it's inconsequential and all that. You're thinking of it as a human, and you're saying, "Oh, it's a bad God. I didn't get my fucking cereal."
Yeah. Well,
and so
I can honestly say it's. I'm saying that not because of my experience, because of just everything I see out there. When I hear there was a story not
there's
too
a
long
lot of
ago,
bad. Yeah.
You know, when the girl, a little 8-year-old girl, said that she would go to church, and she every night prayed to God that her stepfather would stop coming into her room.
Yeah, right.
And he wouldn't.
Right.
And then so loving God. Hold that.
Yeah.
So the loving God notion to me out the window. Now you can say, well, that's the free will, and he can't. This is evil doing this. But if he's almighty, again, hold on. So my point is that if anybody that, and it's fair. I mean, if you want to say God is good and God is a loving God, then at the same time when something bad happens, then you need to call him out too.
Yeah.
Because
you
can't have it both ways. You can't say,
I get it.
He works in mysterious ways.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
I get it.
But if there's also free will, then what's the point in praying?
Well, bad things happen even whether you chose it or not. Bad things happen, but like I said, so maybe that happened to the girl on this dimensional level, and it's awful. But the level of awful. So she goes 1,000 dimensions into the future, and she's fighting a space alien, and she's Xena the warrior that has no fear of giant penises or whatever the design. You don't understand the dimension of what. That anger that was instilled in her that she needed. Yeah. So maybe it's just hard.
Maybe.
It's like lifting weights. You're like, oh, this hurts. It's painful. I
yeah.
lift weights. Then you get strong.
Right.
So, I mean, we're looking at it on a human level.
Well, at that moment.
I'm not saying
that moment in time.
The pedophilia is, no big deal. I get it.
But my guess, I have people who swear that, that prayer works. Their prayers get answered every night.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'm telling them,
I
those
think
people,
that's a little crazy. Yeah.
Those people who
they don't work every night.
My point is that if your prayers get answered, then please go to a children's hospital
and fix them.
All those kids that's in the cancer area, pray for them so they'll be able to get out.
It's like the Snake Charmer Church where they're healing guy after guy. Hey, go to the children's cancer hospital.
Yeah.
Let's see how you work there. I get it. And there's a lot of fraud and there's a lot of misconception and stuff, but we have limited minds, and we're spiritual people in a human experience. We're meat puppets. We're running around driving these meat robots. And what we don't know is that there's so much more than what we need to know. So we don't even know how far this goes. But if you look at it, look at like I raise bugs. I have praying mantises that just sit there and eat a worm alive, and a worm's wiggling around, and you're going, "Oh, poor worm, he's getting sodomized by a mantis's mouth, and oh, it's awful." Yeah, but it's a worm, and it's a praying mantis, and that could be us. It could be that the little girl is like, that's nothing.
Yeah,
that's there's a million years of that. Then you're something.
There's also a million things that could occur in that little girl's life beyond that.
Yeah.
That, I've been an abuse sufferer, survivor, or whatever you call it.
I just think
not family, not
kids.
family.
Yes, family.
Kids or
not immediate family.
Yeah.
I just think.
Thank you.
He's dead now.
Yeah.
Kids or people who need.
Yeah.
Or that can't defend themselves.
Right.
That's, to me. That's,
All right. So, and not to get political.
Oh, go ahead.
And I know you're very liberal. So, how do you feel?
I'm not very.
All right. So, but how do you feel about full-term abortions? How do you feel about that? The kid's on the table, and
to me, that's
barbaric, to say the least.
It can be, but what's the if the prognosis is that if the mother carries this child, she dies. So what do you do?
No, but the baby, they already voted that once the baby's out and the mother's alive, they can have a discussion. This is in West Virginia. That guy, we can have they voted for it. And it's a law. they can have a discussion about whether they terminate that baby or not. And again, I don't
like a deformity or something. To
no,
that?
And even then, that's like Nazi shit. But my point is, I'm there are places for abortion, and I think that rape, incest,
no doubt,
and especially
and
the mother's life.
Yeah, and how states like Alabama who will vote that even with rape, incest.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But on the other end, they've pushed it so far that it's where the baby's laying on the counter giving you the finger that you take a shotgun and shoot him. Everybody's got to compromise. Everybody's got to compromise.
That's bad.
And the other thing too is then we should do more for birth control or something. I'm
good.
No, we're good.
I'm good.
Let's
give Bobby the last word because we're almost 2 hours into this.
I end this on a pro-abortion, not abortion thing. Oh, am I stupid? I get hate mail. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
I'm saying that everybody should get along.
It's conversation.
Yeah, we should still come together on a
converse and figure
find a happy medium.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm totally for that.
Okay, on this subject, I can't even believe I want to talk about this, but you mentioned the pedophilia and little girls getting attacked every single night and blah, blah, blah.
I'd be willing to kill them all.
And this did happen to me. It was a great uncle. I forgive you, but he's dead, long gone.
I'm sure
it
he hears
happened
you.
when I was about in 4th and 5th grade. And I went to Catholic school, and I was wearing a little skirt and the whole 9 yards. And I went to people and told them, and I was told, "Oh, Bobby, and next time that happens, you just
slap
shoo
his
hand away. Just shoot it." They didn't know
or
what.
Cut it off.
They didn't know what to. So I lived in just mortal fear that this man was going to come and visit, and I didn't want to be in the same house. Okay, fast forward 30 years, forgotten completely about it. Shaped who I am, I'm sure. But it comes to me, I'm talking to someone, and all of a sudden it was just this bam, crap, holy crap, I remember it.
Right.
I was able to help someone else through their thing. And it was a divine moment in that I was able to say, yeah, he shouldn't have done that, but he was a terrible alcoholic, flawed, sicko human being. And my family didn't know what to do to help me because they were caught in that family, we don't want to make Uncle blah blah mad, yada yada. It made me a stronger...
Uncle so-and-so would be a dead man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Three of his other relatives too, just so it doesn't go any farther.
This was in the early 1970s. When I didn't even know... I just didn't know anything. And all I'm saying is that when you talk about free will and whatnot, there's other factors in there. That man was a sicko.
Okay.
And
I'm buying all that.
He was a sicko. And I get what you're saying. Well, why didn't God stop it?
Yeah.
Why weren't the angels there to stop it?
Yeah. Because they can't stop everything.
Because they can't.
It was supposed to change the course of my life, and it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it made me stronger. Does it mean that I deserved that? No, it does not. But I also believe that before we come to Earth, we decide that we're going to come to this certain place, and these are the lessons we're going to work on while we're here.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like
you
get
totally
to
what he
picture
says.
your classes.
It's the order of the universe.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that Jeffrey Dahmer should cut me up and eat me. Stuff like that.
You would be delicious,
but
though.
I know I would.
With some potatoes.
Right.
But that is just my belief in the things that have happened to me, and I've had terrible things happen to me in my life, have shaped who I am today in the way that I look at things and the way that I might reach out and touch somebody and help somebody where I might not.
Again, that's
have
not
done
condoning all this stuff. And
I got it.
even my argument with you about that is I often take the opposing view, even though whether I agree with it or not, just so that we stay in the middle of the road, that the lane stays the same. With all those travesties, that's another travesty. You can't have one without the other, and it's all that stuff. Everything. It's real simple to make good choices, but bad stuff happens anyway. Even like I said, it's like we self-destruct. I have friends that they're going to date these women, they're going to do that, they're going to do drugs, they're going to run around, and it's like, why is my life so miserable? you made it miserable because you can't do anything else until you listen. When I finally got caught with drugs and I had to go to rehab, it was 6 classes or 12 classes, 6 weeks, twice a week. And the guy in the last class, the guy says, "Well, here's your diploma," and he goes, "Charlie," he goes, or Chuck, he goes, "You know, you don't have a big problem as a drug addict, but you're a bad drug dealer. Bad. You're more addicted to selling drugs than doing them. And it's almost like a sick fetish." He goes, "The state stopped paying for you, but I'll take you as a customer for as long as you need me." I stayed for a year and a half. That's quite a bit more than 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. And then he said, "No more caffeine, no more women, no more." And I was like, "Oh, come on. I've always had a girlfriend since I was 17. I was 40-something. And I didn't. And more or less, I mean, for a year and a half. And then immediately after that, I met my wife. Things turned around. So you gotta pull back and take things into perspective. We're choosing bad things. We're doing bad things. And then we're going, why do I have problems? Because we won't let them go. We almost want them, you know, like to say, "God, I got shitty luck." Even that's why Antonio's really good. He's very inspirational in his stuff. You can will things to happen. Yeah. And you can try really hard and get to a point where, you know, and hopefully it keeps going for everybody. You know, the idea is that, we're here to do what we're supposed to do. We're going to do it. No one else is going to do it. Right. So, I mean, the big picture of the universe is there's a lot more to us than, you know, than what we think. It's not just all these outside influences. Right. It's what we do.
And you, too, have your own Native American watching over you.
And I want you to channel the big baboosh. It's a big Polish guy. He's a big baboosh.
2 hours, a little over 2 hours of conversation.
Yeah. And it's good, right?
It's good.
Yeah,
and you know what? We could talk more.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, a big pile of Coke and a bunch of whiskey, tequila.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And all these little...
Talk about aliens. Ow, you just poked me in the eye with your ring. Ah!
We'll do it again. Let's do it again.
All right.
Yeah.
Next time, let's talk about...
whatever trending and...
No, I wanted to say something totally inappropriate, but fuck that. People will believe I'm telling the truth. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, we're going to go drink now.
Yeah, let's do
No,
that.
we're really not.
Let's have one drink.
Okay, we'll have one drink.
All right.
That's where the real alien shit
Thank
will
you
come
for
out.
having
Good
us.
stuff.
And if you have listened, thank you.
Wait till I tell you all the
Remember-
Masonic Illuminati shit.
All the same.
I knew a Cherokee Indian Mason from the Illuminati once.
They were Shawnee Indians.
He was from Mars.
They were Cleveland Indians.
You're sick, right? Oh.